Page, ready to begin? Yeah, okay. Good evening. I call this May 24th meeting of the Morrisville Town Council to order. Thank you to those watching via live stream and those who are watching a recording of this meeting. On May 27th, a video of this meeting will be uploaded to www.townofmorrisville.org/government/live-video. Sergeant Penland has been a law enforcement officer for 21 years and is currently assigned to the Field Operations Division. He will be our Sergeant at Arms this evening. Thank you very much, Sergeant. Now I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rabati for tonight's invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's invocation is a recognition of our Morrisville graduates and also a reminder that we have control over our actions and our impact. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own and you know what you know, and you are the one who'll decide where you go. You'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. You can move mountains.
Thank you very much. All who are able, please stand and join in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we adopt tonight's agenda, Town Council policy is to review and ensure there are no conflicts of interest or appearance of conflict of interest with any item on the agenda. Does any council member have anything they want to share at this time? Okay. A couple of things before we go ahead and adopt. I would like to request that we add an item to the agenda under presentations, and this is a time-sensitive item regarding federal small business funding. I would propose it become item 8C, as in Charlie. Are there any other edits to the agenda? I'd like to recognize Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to add a closed session at the end of the meeting related to attorney-client privilege.
Okay. Anyone else? I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rabati.
If there's time, I would also like to add a closed session to the meeting for a matter of personnel.
Okay. Seeing nothing else, I'd entertain a motion adding those three items.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion from Mayor Pro Tem, second from Councilmember Rao. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries 7-0. We have an agenda. There are three items on this evening's consent agenda. Approval of all three sets of Town Council meeting minutes. Would any council member like to remove any of those for discussion before we approve? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adopt tonight's approve tonight's consent agenda.
Still moved.
I'll second.
A motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries unanimously 7-0 as well. Thank you very much. We have three presentations tonight. The first recognizing the graduation of Morrisville Fire Rescue Academy number 1 and a Master Sustainability Plan update, followed by the additional presentation. At this time, Fire Chief Scott Criddle will facilitate graduate recognition.
Good evening, council, staff, guests. Thank you for taking your valuable time to let us share this with the community. We're incredibly proud of the graduation of our first ever academy. Our academy members were hired in November of 2021, but you have to go farther back to get to the beginning of that road. In order to do it, to facilitate that, we needed the ability to deliver certifications, and Chris here has done a ton of work to get the fire department set up where we could be trusted with the test bank. I mean, that's the keys to the kingdom, really, in the testing world and accreditation, in certification. So But he started that effort probably a year before, but we were accredited in December of 2020. So it goes back, and then with the 22 budget, we were authorized 3 new FTEs, and whenever we do get an opportunity to hire new FTEs where we're not replacing an already, on the road firefighter, we like to take that opportunity to try to draw from a bigger pool of applicants and hire untrained, which requires them to go through training. So we have to hire them, pay them to go to training, and typically we would do this by partnering with the Wake County Training Center or Durham Training Center or another municipality we might join up with. But Chief Lazinski and Captain Salter here had kind of got the idea that we could pull it off. And it might not sound like much, but it's a lot. It's a commitment. It's a lot of time in the training room. There's always somebody there teaching. They're here all the time. They're 8 to 5. They're not on the rig. The staff at the fire department's got to help them extra, getting a hose down on the ground, picking it up, doing extra work, trips to the training center. Anyway, it's a lot of work, but they convinced me, and here we are. So anyway, Chief Lazinski couldn't be here tonight, but I did want to give him a quick shout out for an enormous amount of work, just in even the audacity to think that we could do it, and then really supporting Chris. And then I'll introduce Captain Chris Salter, who is our training officer, and he is an absolute rock star in the training world, and he was the front of this thing, and I'll give him just a second to talk about the effort, the staff, and then our cadets.
Thank you, town managers, town council. Like Chief Criddle said, it was a thing that we wanted to try. I believed that we could do it. I just needed an opportunity to do it. And thanks again for the council and the town managers believing in us and letting us have this try on it. We started with ENT first. That's one of the highest failed tests in the fire EMS world. All our guys passed with a 4.0 GPA, and it's due to the instructions that we were able to give, not someone from the college or someone outside of Morrisville. We taught them how we do things and how the state runs it, so that we were able to get a 4.0 GPA out of that. On February of 2022, they started the fire portion. I taught the majority of the classes, but I could not do it alone. We had some very expert subject matter people that were in the department with me. I leaned on them a little bit to help me, so that kind of helped us out a lot. We had high scores. I think the lowest score we had on the test was an 85, and the rest of them were 90s and 100s. And that goes back to our staff on how we prepared them. Normally when they come in, they have to come through the fire department and get a kind of quick, this is how we do things. They were prepared from day one on how the town operated and the fire department operated. So when they're coming in like a 3-year employee. We don't have to go back and teach them something we need to teach them, or they've already learned a different way. So it helped us out. With that direct delivery that we got, it put the Morrisville Fire Department on the playing field of certifying who we need to certify. Normally with the college, you got to have at least 9 to 10 people to run a class. We can do it with one person. I can certify anybody with just one person. And that was a big help for us as far as with the academy. We're able to run it on how we do things. And it worked out pretty well. So if I do have time, I did get their certifications today, and I would like to present them their certifications and introduce them to the council and to the town managers. Marvin Adams. Marvin's going to receive his Firefighter 1 and 2 certification and his hazmat operations.
Wow.
Jacob Gallagher, firefighter 1 and 2, hazmat operations. They have already received their EMT certs. They got them in January. Michael Marola, he is also receiving his firefighter 1 and 2 and his hazmat operations. With the academy, they had 501. They had 501 training hours, and with 240 additional for EMT. Wow. Ian Smells, firefighter 1 and 2, hazmat operations. Reese Register, firefighter 1 and 2, hazmat operations. Town of Morrisville town managers and council, these are your brand new firefighters for Morrisville Fire.
Congratulations, Captain. This is an amazing achievement for you, too.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Couldn't be prouder. Thank you all very much, and congratulations, graduates. Welcome to the team.
Captain, can I just want to make sure we all are aware, you had over 200 applications.
Yes, ma'am.
It shows these 5 individuals.
Yes, ma'am. We had right around 200 applications that applied for the firefighter positions that we had open. We normally do certified, but then we have to retrain them. So like Chief said, me and Chief, I talked to Chief Lazinski. I said, hey, I believe we can do it. So we went in his office, talked to him about it, and, you know, we did it.
Yes, you did.
And we had 200 applicants to make 5 great firefighters that y'all allowed us to do. And thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, we need to basically secure him because my worry is Wake Tech will come and pick him up. Okay.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Our second presentation tonight, Kimberly Conley, Sustainability Coordinator, will present the Master Sustainability Plan Update.
Do I need this? Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Happy to see you again. Thank you for having me. So tonight I'd like to give you an update on the Master Sustainability Plan. The documents that were provided in the agenda packet tonight include the full draft of the Master Sustainability Plan, the at-a-glance document, which also has, it actually has the goals, strategies, and actions, as well as the timeline on the backside. There is also the third document is the endorsement letter from MESC, the Morrisville Environment Stormwater Committee. So wanted to make sure you were aware of all of those different aspects. And so tonight what I'd like to do is go through your comments from February 22nd. There were a number of comments, and we've gone through and addressed each of those comments, and I wanted to get back to you with that, that feedback. We'll talk about some next steps, and then we have some opportunity for Q&A. So just as I know we've all seen this a lot of times, so just to kind of give you a brief update, right, the Master Sustainability Plan is the program, right, it will help us, this plan will develop and really guide our program for the next several years. So we've incorporated, as you know, a lot of stakeholder engagement. We've done some assessment and peer analysis. We have done a greenhouse gas inventory. It's actually the first that the town has ever had. We did investigation and analysis we took kind of all of that data and all of that information and investigated it, researched it, analyzed it, and then finally we came up with some goals. So the timeline to your far right, MESC will review, actually MESC has already reviewed these comments on 5.4. They've reviewed the draft MSP. We've presented the draft to you tonight, and then next steps might be for a brief to happen on 6/14, and then potentially council will have action on 6/28. So our council comments from February 22nd. The first comment that we had was reducing electricity by 5%. How does that compare to other municipalities? This was a really good comment. So the way I've arranged things here, just so you know what you're looking at. So I'm going to start with the comment, even though that's in column 2. It relates to the goal, strategy, or action, which is in column 1. In this case, it's goal 1, which is reduce electricity consumption 5% by 2026. And then I'll move to the action, and then we'll talk about whether it was integrated or not into the actual plan. So a very good question was raised. And so our response to that is that that is correct. It may seem like a low amount. However, as you know, the town outsources many of its major utilities, right? Water, waste and recycling. Wastewater is a huge, huge drain on most municipalities' energy consumption. It typically takes up to 50%, 50% of the consumption of the entire town operations. We don't have those things that we have control over directly because they're outsourced to a third party. So we wanted to create a goal that would be very attainable, and if we exceed that goal, then all the better. So I've included in the action some of that same information that I just reviewed. We also included additional information in the peer analysis section on page 9 of the MSP draft, if you'd like to review that. Many of our peer towns have actually moved on beyond looking at town operations to look at community-wide goals. We're not there yet because we're sort of a fledgling initiative, so we will get there. So it was a little bit difficult to do sort of an apples-to-apples comparison. Integrated into the MSP, not directly, but I did want to make sure that I addressed that question because it is most definitely a good one. What you're looking at here in the bottom right-hand corner, and that's a little bit small, but that is, it is in the appendix. I believe it's Appendix C. That talks about how we actually came up with the calculations for the goals. And I don't know if you've heard of a gentleman by the name of Dr. Amory Lovins, but he is the chief scientist for the Rocky Mountain Institute. He's brilliant. And he coined the phrase negawatt, which basically means what you don't use is better than anything else that you could possibly do, including renewable energy. So nega meaning negative. So we are really going to focus our efforts predominantly on energy conservation and efficiency. So how can we reduce the need for electricity so that we don't have to have as much solar, for example? So, you know, reducing that energy consumption is kind of priority 1 for this plan. We've mapped out there the major facilities within the town, how much usage they have, and then what we're hoping to do is see a 15% reduction in energy conservation, which will help us get to that 5% goal. Actually, we'd surpass it. We would get to 6%. But that's going to take a lot of teamwork. It's going to take a lot of staff, departments working together to make that happen. I'll move on to the waste and recycling section. We had 3 comments here in this section, possibly 4. Nope, just 3. So I'm going to start with comment 1, waste and recycling, think about messaging, for example, landfill instead of waste. This is a brilliant, very useful comment. This relates to goal 3, which is increase efficiency of waste and recycling for town operations. We would like to incorporate this into when we are ready to have or create visible and accessible receptacles. So even though we say integrated NA, we did integrate the idea, the concept of this by adding visible and accessible receptacles. So we want to make it very clear to our community what is trash or landfill and what is recycling, because those words make a difference when you're walking up to them and you have something in your hand. It might make you think twice. So that was that comment. Goal 4, language appears more like an action. Consider language as goal 3, make it broader. So we did incorporate this comment. We thought that this was a really good comment to what we basically did is we swapped the goal with the strategy. So we had educate residents to increase recycling rate to 70% as the goal, and the strategy was to increase the community recycling rate, and we really just flip-flopped those 2 items. So we did certainly incorporate that, and so that is that comment. Next comment is, what is the difference between food waste or compost? The importance of education for the community is truly paramount. We agree, and so this relates to Goal 5, which is our food waste program accessibility. We're hoping to communicate food waste program options to residents, not necessarily for the town to make one available just yet, but we'd like to at least let them know of opportunities to use food waste solutions. So importance of education and awareness to help community understand available options. That's our objective. Composting, and just to explain what the difference is for folks that might be wondering, what is the difference between food waste and composting? Composting is the natural process of recycling organic matter. It can include leaves, it can include food scraps, certain food scraps, and then that creates a valuable fertilizer, a very valuable fertilizer. And some food waste can be composted. Typically things that wouldn't be or shouldn't be composted are things like bones from meat and things like that. So those were the 3 comments for waste and recycling. We had a couple of comments for natural environment. Within Goal 9, one of the actions should be to plant more trees. So this relates to maintain and nurture the town's tree canopy, which strategy 1 is to establish a tree canopy baseline. So Wake County is currently undergoing, I'm actually on the selection committee to help select the consultant that will do the assessment for the Wake County land cover and tree canopy assessment. They are hoping to have that project done by the end of this calendar year. They are doing municipality-specific reports for each of the municipalities within Wake County. This is a fantastic opportunity for us to sort of jump on their on their bandwagon and get data, get access to information so that we can help inform our process. So from this information, from this data, we hope to create an implementation plan so that we know what are we shooting for, what should we be shooting for as far as tree canopy goes, preservation, and things of that sort. So even though we said integrated no, we wanted to make sure that we gave you all of the information on that particular item because it's super important. Goal 10, consider B city designation, and there were 2 council members that were particularly interested in this item. This relates to Goal 10, native plant inclusion for town projects. So MESC, which is obviously our Citizen Advisory Committee, provided research on Bee City designation. The sustainability program compared Bee City with the Monarch Pledge, and I'll show you what that looks like on the next slide. In the summer of 2021, MESC reviewed all of this information and deemed Bee City unattainable at this time. but would like to revisit it in future years. Meanwhile, the Monarch Pledge provides an opportunity for us to continue our pollinator efforts. Let me show you those differences here. So I know this is an important topic to council. We've talked about it a couple of different times. Just wanted to show you the difference between Bee City and Monarch Pledge. Bee City is a little bit more onerous, if I can use that word. They do require authority. We could assign that authority to MESC, or in some peer towns such as Apex, they've designated a committee specifically for Bee City efforts. It does require us to have some recognition, some publicity items, such as signage and web page options, web page informational efforts. And it does also have an annual fee, and you do need to report activities a bit more strenuously than you do the Monarch Pledge. And we did sign on to be a member of the Monarch Pledge this year. We are currently, thank you, Mayor Colley, it's called the Mayor's Monarch Pledge officially. So the town is a member of that pledge presently. The final comment under natural environment is, could we aspire for 100%, this is talking about a native plant inclusion for town projects, 100% might reduce irrigation and maintenance. That's probably a true statement. We did research this option, and it might constrain us in that native plants aren't always readily available when you need them for a particular project. And we looked at our peers. Wake County actually also has a 70% native plant inclusion. So what we'd like to do is start out with, recommend, research a 70% native plant minimum for town projects. So, yes. And then finally, I addressed a couple of general comments that really didn't go to a specific focus area. First comment here, what does access to sustainability mean? And I'll show you on the next slide a little bit more information. This is from the UDO analysis that was conducted last summer by Ryan Eldridge. I hope you recall his presentation. And within that presentation, he talked about solar easements. And within our UDO, property owners are responsible for negotiating solar easements in order to preserve their solar access. The opportunity is present to alter this to guarantee solar access under certain conditions. Our neighbors, Cary and Chapel Hill, already guarantee this access. So that's just an example of when we went through the UDO, what kinds of things did we look for to identify that might be options for us to consider as we look for ways to increase accessibility to sustainability. The next comment, let me go down and just show you what that looks like, and then I'll scroll back up. So when we went through the UDO, we looked at obviously all of the different, these focus areas specifically. Our intern, Ryan, provided a presentation, and the way that those items supported the various MSP goals are listed here on the right. This synergy table can also be found in the MSP. I believe it might be table 10 at this time. We had to change some numbering, so apologies for that. The final general comment that we had, over the next several years, how can we support development by considering incentives to incorporate things like solar? Fantastic question. This plan has a primary focus on town operations, as you all know. In order for us to establish a strong foundation before we branch out to the broader community, we wanted to be an exemplar to our community, so we want to be able to do these things first. We also understand the importance of incentives for private development, and we'll work with our planning department to identify those opportunities. Council will, of course, have an opportunity to evaluate those when determined by staff as part of the implementation of this plan. This is just a quick review, the MSP. So we have 11 goals, 16 strategies, and 35 actions that we plan to undertake over the next several years. Very excited to get started on this work. Actually, we've already been working on many of these things, but looking forward to getting your approval so we can formalize this plan. I wanted to point out a couple of key items within the MSP. I mentioned it at the top of the presentation. This document here is the at-a-glance document, these two very colorful blocks here. The first one is the goals, strategies, and actions, and then the second is the timeline that we think will be necessary to make these or to reach these goals. So this goes from 2023 through 2028. So next steps, and then I'll give you an opportunity to ask some questions. Next steps would be a formal item brief and for us to address additional questions from you all, from Town Council, on June 14th, and then potential plan adoption on June 28th. And with that, I am happy to take your questions.
Okay, great. I think I saw Councilmember Rao reaching, and then Councilmember Fender, please.
Follow me.
Who's first?
Steve, please.
Great presentation, Kimberly. I just an observation. About 10 days ago, I attended the North Carolina Technology Association IT Outlook Conference, and one of the themes from top companies like IBM and Microsoft were about IoT and the cloud and how those technologies can really accelerate waste management, energy consumption, water use. So I think it's critically important for us to really connect our smart city initiatives with our sustainability efforts. I know I've spoken to you offline about Sustion and Cary, which is a Bill Gates investment, not too far from Morrisville, $10 million investment into a company that's taking carbon out of the air. So I guess it's not really a question, just an observation. I just, whatever we can do to better connect, and perhaps there's even partnering opportunities with some of these companies in our backyard, like IBM and Microsoft, that we could go to them and say, look, how can we work together in a collaborative way to do some of these things, right? So
that's a fantastic observation, and we have brought the idea to MESC for a potential, maybe we have a special guest speaker come to MESC and talk about that company specifically. But to address the initial comment, right, how do we make sure that we're connecting sustainability with our Smart City initiative? And the primary way that we're doing that is through our building automation systems efforts, which are continuing. We're seeing some really good results from the public safety pilot that we've done. So as we bring on more facilities, the opportunity to increase the technological savviness of those systems to monitor things like water and, of course, electricity, but occupant comfort, and we can also connect alarms. So it just helps us to be more proactive and connected overall. So I did want to mention that building automation systems is a huge way that we plan to keep these efforts connected.
thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Fender, followed by myself, please.
Okay, thank you, Kimberly, for this. I agree with a lot of the suggestions around the use of native plants and preserving the natural environment. A couple of questions I had was, one of the suggestions was to discourage idling and to incentivize that. How would that be implemented?
So thank you, Councilmember Fender. Good question. So within the transportation goals, we are looking to reduce our consumption of gasoline by 20%, which is a significant number. So we will be looking at things like idling. We will be looking at how can we incorporate EVs onto the fleet. We will be looking at how to do an overall sustainable fleet policy. So I would imagine things like discouraging idling would fit under that umbrella quite nicely. So those things are mentioned in the MSP specifically.
Okay, yeah. And then another question I had was regarding the timeline at the very end of the plan. I'm a bit concerned that we implement recommended incentives to developers to increase or save trees in 2028. I'm worried that if we wait till 2028 to increase incentives for developers to save our trees, we won't have any. Is there a way to pull that initiative forward?
Thank you for that comment. I think that's a reasonable request. We tried to parse the work out over this extended time frame with one full-time employee. But I think that we could certainly take a look at the actions to see if maybe we could pull that closer to the beginning of our timeline. So can I get back to you on that?
Yeah, it's just an observation and a suggestion. With our tree canopy, time is of the essence, and I feel like we're already a bit too late as it is. So anything we can do to, I know our planning department is working on the UDO, and I know that will be part of that solution. And then my last question is, I am just curious about why MESC decided the B City designation was unattainable. Why would that be? You guys pulled off the Soul Smart designation pretty quickly, and
fair question.
And you did a lot of work with that too. So I'm curious as why the B City would be quote unquote unattainable.
Fair question. So if you remember, we did have a summer intern. Actually, I had 2 interns last year. So Ryan Eldridge did the bulk of that work to identify the gaps that existed in our processes and our UDO, and made it much easier for us to go ahead and apply. We don't necessarily have that for B City right now.
Can I loan you my 17-year-old?
Yes, please.
I have an 18-year-old.
I'll take him.
He needs a job for the summer.
So, when we say unattainable, I think it's really just a question of we're trying to be really thoughtful and purposeful about where we direct our energy right now, and reducing our consumption and reducing our gasoline consumption. And the rest of the 9 goals, I really see as our priority. But I also think that's important too, because obviously pollinators are such a key source for our food supply. So duly noted.
Okay, so maybe not unattainable right now.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Okay. My turn, and then Councilmember Garamella. As you noted, we only have so much energy and resources. You are the full-time employee. You're the point of the spear doing all this. So applaud and kudos for doing such a great job. This is really ambitious and aspirational, and it looks really great. And I think this is wonderful. And when we achieve all this down the road, it's going to make a big difference for everyone in the future. And the Bee City, I'm looking forward to that becoming attainable in a few years. I didn't see Tree City in any of the comments, so I just want to make sure that's also on our radar. I know that's a lot also, so it's not soon, but.
It actually is, if you go to the at-a-glance sheet, it is specifically mentioned. I'm trying to find the exact spot. It should be in natural environment. Yes. Goal 9. Action 3 is research requirements and develop plan to become part of National Tree City program. So these, just to clarify, the comments that we addressed today were merely just the comments that you brought up on February 22nd. There's lots more good stuff in here.
That is a big page with lots of small print, so there's
Yes,
lots of
I
good
know.
stuff
I
in
know.
there.
I tried to make it as on an 11 by 17 so that it wouldn't be too difficult.
So I also want to just take a moment to celebrate what's already happening. We've had EV car chargers at PSMS for a while. There's some new ones at MAFC,
Yes.
and there's some more coming. Do you want
That's
to
right.
share a little bit about that real quick?
Sure, I'm happy to. As part of our FY22 efforts, we are putting in a couple of new EV chargers at Church Street. There will also be an ADA accessible spot there for EV charging, so we're super excited about that opportunity. We hope to have those in the next several months.
That's really wonderful.
Thank you.
That's worth
Thanks.
celebrating. Councilmember Garamella.
Yeah, hi Kimberly. Can you go back to the slides where you were talking about solar easement? Yes, this one, when you say like on the right column, integrated yes or no, it says no. What does that mean? Because the reason from where I'm coming is several people come, to the HOAs asking for solar panels on their roof, and as you know, they have to be south-facing. And if the house is south-facing, it has to be at the front of the house. And some HOAs discourage that, and Breckenridge we encourage. But I wanted to see if that's part of our UDO, where the easement is like, if we allow that, then that will guide the HOAs to allow it too, because we want every opportunity for people to use solar by not, basically if we can come up with that rule or, that's integrated into the UDO, it will help tremendously the residents who want it, and also give a direction to the HOAs who are reluctant in terms of, because some of the new roofs and the solar panels actually match with colors. You get all kinds of things. So it pretty much looks pretty good. So I just thought, why is there an end there?
Thank you, Councilmember Garamella. Just so you know, this is one of the hottest topics that exists within the industry group that I'm in, which is the Southeast Sustainability Directors Network. We talk about HOAs a lot. So I don't have a direct answer for whether changing this would help us with the HOA constraints. However, we'll be working closely with our planning department to fine-tune and identify opportunities to make it easier for folks to have solar, both for residential and commercial facilities. I can tell you that.
Okay, so I assume Michelle will look into it and.
So the reason we said N, we tried to be very black and white with this, right? Was this specifically integrated? No, because we haven't made the change yet. We're not able to make that change yet. We would need to work with, obviously, cross departments to make that happen.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
So I just want to add my kudos to Kimberly. Thank you. This is a fabulous document, a long time in the making, and I'm as thrilled as everybody up here, so kudos. I do love the at-a-glance, the 2 at-a-glance documents. Those are really helpful. Thank you for that. I guess, are you definitely coming back in June, or do you need input from council? Because you talked about potentially coming back in June. I hope you do come back in June.
I'm coming back in June 14. You will see me again.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Okay, good. And then my last question, and in all these conversations we've had, you may have talked about this, and I've forgotten, so you can refresh my memory, but how often are we going to take a look at this? I mean, I know you're going to live with this day in and day out, and how often are we going to take a look at it and help tweak it? And when is it going to come back to us? I'm talking about the whole document, because over time, and we talked about how technology will change over time too. Over time, we're going to meet these goals, and we need to set new goals. So I'm just looking at timing of the coming back to council.
That's interesting that you asked that question. I was thinking about that just today as I was looking at the rolling calendar. How often would you like for me to come back to you and give you updates on our progress? I will, as an addendum to that, say we are planning to create a dashboard. We're not sure if it'll be part of Morrisville Pro or on a different web page within our site, but we will be updating that on a regular basis for our broader community. So we will be doing that, but in addition, I'd be happy to come back to council whenever you'll have me to talk about sustainability.
Oh, that will be really helpful, what you just talked about. That would be, because I have a feeling we're all going to want to kind of know how things are progressing and how well we're all doing. So
Okay.
that will be helpful in and of itself. So that's
I'm also
good news.
creating a sustainability e-newsletter that I hope will be a quarterly publication, so that will have some information on it as well as far as current projects.
Fabulous. Maybe that meets my goals probably for the moment.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
Made from recycled materials. Councilmember Scoggins Johnson.
Thank you. Fabulous job. We're so happy to see this plan really coming together. I'm trying to think of what hasn't been said or asked. So I thought I would direct my comments towards our Citizen Advisory Committee, the MERC Committee. The work has been fantastic. And if you could maybe elaborate just a little bit about what you've had the committee doing in support of this plan and other initiatives, because I think you need to brag a little bit, and I'm really curious to hear.
Well, it's not my bragging. They're an awesome group of people that are passionate about these topics. So we have a work plan, as you know. We have different categories such as education, how to support sustainability, creating awareness, making sure that we're keeping up to date with our peers to see what other groups are doing. MESC has gone so far as to reach out to CARI and Apex, and we now have a very close-knit group where those citizen advisory members come together and actually talk about different initiatives that they have going on, and we're looking for ways to collaborate because, as we know, our borders are kind of mushy and and gray sometimes. So if we can have strength in leveraging the message, we think that that's a really powerful thing. Other things that MESC works on, obviously they supported our Earth Day, Green Day events, which were fabulously, I think, successful this year. We had 175 folks come through just for Green Day alone, which was really wonderful. The local government federal credit union sponsored the e-recycling on our behalf, which was really great. So we're really excited about that. On June 1st, MESC will have our very own Chris Lawson and Michelle Stiegel there to talk about the tree amendments. They are very interested and passionate about trees. And so they want to hear directly what those amendments look like and provide feedback and ask questions. So that's just a little bit of a snippet, but we have an incredible committee right now. I'm really, really pleased. So thank you for giving them a shout out.
Yes, thank you for all you do with leading that initiative.
Thank you.
As well. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all. The whole team, you plus all.
Yes, it's not just me.
Yep, June 14th. We look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you. Sounds great. Thank you all.
Now we're at item 8C, the new item. I believe Jeannie Hooks, Michael James will be, or Michael? Just your name and title for the record, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Michael James, Fiscal Recovery Officer. Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's good to be back with you. First, I just want to say thanks for letting us tack this item on last minute. We appreciate that. I know you have a busy agenda, but this is time sensitive, so just appreciate that. As I think all of you are aware by now, the town of Morrisville found out in late March that we would be receiving a $300,000 grant from a federal grant that we applied for through Representative Deborah Ross's office. And since that time, we've been awaiting some information on the timing and logistics for receiving those funds from the Small Business Administration. So we do have some information related to that. I'm going to walk through that tonight. And then at the end of my presentation, I actually have a brief update on the next round of Congressional Community Project funding and some news on that, so I'll share that at the end. But first, before I leave this first slide, just a reminder, it's a $300,000 grant. You can see here that we have that broken into thirds. This aligns with the initial application that we submitted to Representative Ross and her staff last year. And I'm going to walk through each of these components in a few minutes, but just wanted to point out here that we're anticipating or expecting a 2-year implementation for the program. So as I said, this is going to be coming through the Small Business Administration. The town manager and I met with some representatives from the SBA last week, and they have lots of information that they've requested of us that we'll be providing to them. Part of that would be a program outline and associated budget, and we have to submit that to them by next week, so that's why we wanted to take some time to share that with you tonight. And so basically what we're asking of you is to review that information, and then we're asking for your kind of initial consensus and support for the program outline. But I just want to emphasize before we get too far along that nothing that we're sharing tonight, as we understand, is really set in stone. There's a lot of work I think that council has to do, that we have to do with partners to kind of do a needs assessment and fill in the details for this program. So we're really just providing you with the initial outline that we'll be submitting next week. Before I get into each of the program components, I just wanted to talk about some overall considerations. These really apply to all areas of the program. And the first is really a foundational step that I think on its face may seem simple, as I think you'll discover when we bring some information back to you is, how do you define a small business? That's a big discussion that I think we'll be bringing back to you because the decisions you make there will definitely influence the program shape and the details. So just want you to keep that in mind as we go along. And then, of course, partnerships will be critical as well. So, the town of Morrisville is in the business of providing local government services. Direct, support for for-profit businesses would be a new venture for the town. There's lots of organizations out there and lots of expertise that we can leverage through partnerships. The Morrisville Chamber of Commerce, of course, Wake Tech, and several others that may be key partners to help us as we implement this program. So just another consideration for all of these as we go along. So starting with the first program component, again, as a reminder, we had kind of divided these into thirds, so we're considering $100,000 for the micro grants. And of course, anytime public funds are going to private entities, we always have to be clear about what the public purpose is. And so what we're kind of contemplating here is focusing on the businesses that have been most negatively impacted by the pandemic. And you can see some of the initial criteria that we have listed here. So of course, being able to demonstrate that impact would likely be a component. And then when we think about, again, this will be influenced by how we choose to define small business, but just some considerations here could be locally owned, independent. We could put limits on number of employees, number of locations. And then moving down below that, some additional considerations would just be, industry types. We have the ability through, industry codes to kind of target some of the most negatively impacted businesses. Obviously, that's not all of the negatively impacted businesses, but some of the most negatively impacted that we've listed here. And then again, to the point about seeking some feedback from the business community, how we decide to structure and what the grants focus on, I think would be informed by that feedback. Some things that, of course, I think we see every day in the news and we're generally aware of is workforce needs. Some other potential areas could be equipment, technology support, especially given that these would be one-time funds. So we could potentially direct them to one-time needs for businesses. And then, of course, the amounts, again, I think are going to be based on the decisions that we ultimately make about structure and the number of applications that we would receive. Moving on to the second component, this is really just about marketing and communication support It could be a number of different items. Again, I think needs-based, but some examples, potential examples, could be something like enhanced shop local campaigns, promotions at and through town events, could be other town-sponsored initiatives, networking, mentoring opportunities, and then technical assistance as well. So again, that's where, there's a lot of organizations that are out there that exist now that provide technical assistance and potential opportunities for us to partner with those organizations if that's a need that we hear. And then wrapping up, the third component is really the oversight function. So this is really about compliance, yes, but also just kind of ensuring that whatever programming that we do aligns with your goals and the goals of the community. So this could include part-time staffing. Depending on how the program takes shape, it could evolve into something more than that. And then contractual services, I think, would be a key component. Again, as I've mentioned, partnerships several times, particularly on the grant side, depending on how we structure that. If you're, reviewing tax forms, business structures, that may be something that the town is not necessarily set up to review tax forms and make decisions about eligibility. So that might be a consideration to help us administer the program and would be an allowable use of the funds. So that's kind of the overview of the components of the program and what we're considering submitting to the SBA next week. Of course, we're looking for your kind of general okay with that approach tonight. If you're good with that, we'll move forward with submitting that. And then, as I've said, throughout the presentation, there'll be a feedback process to help us fill in the details for the program. And then I think that will help also determine the partnerships that we seek out to execute those programs, and then eventually working towards implementing that program again over a 2-year time frame. And so that's the update on the federal small business grant. I did just want to briefly share that we did submit 3 projects for the fiscal year 23 Congressional Community Project funding process through Representative Ross's office. We got word earlier this month that she is going to advance and submit one of those projects to the House Appropriations Committee. That is for solar projects at 3 town facilities. So this would be installation of solar panels at 3 town facilities, including PSMS, the Harris Mill Fire Station, and MAFC. Again, we just received word that she's going to be taking it to the committee. There would be a long process after that. Have to go through the congressional funding process. It would be several months before we know anything definitive, but I did just want to share that. And all of the projects that she is put forward are published on her website now. So you can take a look at those.
And those would be competitive as well? So just because she puts it forth doesn't mean it happens, right?
Yeah, it would have to go through the congressional funding process. I'm not sure what the norms are about, accepting member projects.
Well, thank you so much for getting us to this point. This is a great presentation tonight. We'll start with Councilmember Abadi, followed by Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see a small business program taking shape. This is really great work. I do have one concern, though, about 33% of the available funds being spent on management oversight and related overhead. I feel like even Charity Navigator dings you a star if you go over 20%. Is that really the goal, to spend 33% of the available funds on that?
Well, thanks, Councilmember Rabadi, for the question. First of all, I think that's part of what we wanted to bring to you tonight. I think part of the reason that's a larger number is the staffing consideration. Mm-hmm. So it would be staffing, not just, the contract to help administer the grants, but potentially staffing to support the programming as well. But I think that's also up for, that's part of what we're seeking your feedback on tonight is the general outline for the programs and something that we could consider.
Yeah, so that would definitely be an important piece of my feedback, is I think that's a big number. The other thing is I really like the micro grants for small business. When we get to educational and support programming, I feel like we're kind of recreating the Chamber of Commerce here, which provides all of this type of support to businesses. So I'm wondering if there's a possibility that one of the things could be that maybe we could achieve the same goal by offering, and cheaper, by offering Chamber of Commerce memberships to businesses that have been struggling and that are identified as struggling, because the Chamber of Commerce, they provide marketing and communication support, networking and mentoring opportunities, and they have programs that provide technical assistance. So, if we can not reinvent the wheel, and I know you said that we're going to be seeking partnerships with a lot of existing organizations, but, I'm just saying that possibly chamber membership could be an important benefit of the program that wouldn't have to be that expensive.
Thanks for your comments. I appreciate that. And definitely, yeah, that's the idea, is that whatever we do, we'd be partnering along the way and enhancing or expanding or supplementing for the benefit of both the chamber, the town, and the community as a whole. So
yeah,
certainly appreciate that.
This is amazing work. Thank you.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, followed by myself.
I'm excited about this program. I, too, would like to include as many micro grants as we can. If we could shrink the administrative overhead and possibly the educational portion, we will be able to expand on the micro grants. We have many businesses in Morrisville that have suffered through the pandemic, and I look at the list of possible businesses in the scope, and I resonate with each one. The one that resonates the most is the salons, barbershops, and other personal care. We absolutely shut them down. We absolutely shut down the gyms. They were not able. Gyms have a different revenue stream in that they have memberships, and that is recurring, but salons do not. If you don't have the service performed, you don't have your revenue. So I would actually kind of reprioritize, that it's listed, but just list salons because of the absence of revenue and the capability to get that. Hospitality, they pivoted, they were affected, but they pivoted and found revenue streams. So I don't know if you're looking for prioritization eventually once we do more due diligence, but that's where my head is going right now. The other definition I want to be careful of is locally owned. We have a lot of businesses that are in Morrisville that are owned by people in Cary. And Cary is on Town Hall Drive. So it's we need to be a little bit broader in what local means, like the region or something like that, because we have a very diverse set of locally owned businesses. And also, one of the things that bothered me with the PPL loans that were offered during the pandemic is proprietorships or small businesses that didn't have any employees were not eligible. So looking at that as being a gap to include a single owner service, like a personal care provider, might be an option with this kind of program.
Thank you. Yeah, and definitely that what is local, I think, is going to be part of the discussions for sure.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Okay, my turn, followed by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. So I'm just curious about how much we're locking in on June 1st. Like, are we locking into these dollar amounts, for example, or is it just sort of a general framework that we're going to tweak later? Because I've heard some concerns, and I'm also really want to put the money on the micro grants where really the rubber hits the road. So if you could just sort of answer that for us so it's a little more clear, or if you know.
Sure. Thank you, Meredith. So our understanding is that we can make changes to the program. I believe what we heard from the SBA is if we make adjustments of 10% or more, there's just a process that we would have to follow in terms of working with the grants manager, with the SBA. But I don't think there's any, I didn't hear or understand any prohibition against making those adjustments above and beyond 10%. It's just that if it's less than 10%, there's really no approval process with them or notification process with them.
So 10% of the 300,000 or 10% of the
I believe it would be
within?
between the budget categories.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I'd support more of the bulk into the micro grants right off the bat, a lot less on the management side. Education is good. I I think it's a great idea to just essentially give out the memberships to someone who's already providing that. That supports the chamber, supports the businesses. I was also wondering, for the micro grants, it seems to me like that would be an opportunity to help those who have actually gotten through the pandemic, had trouble with COVID, and now they're just right on the edge. And I think those are some of the people that we've been hearing about and we're worried about for the stormwater fee, for example. So this could provide a support network for them if we could get it in place soon enough that whatever fees and property taxes are coming their way, they could qualify. And one of the qualification criteria could automatically be if you received COVID relief from a different agency like Wake County or the federal government already. That makes it easier. There's less administrative. If they can check off that box, they qualify, for example, because I'm really interested in making sure the money goes not to consultants, not to administrators, but to the businesses who actually can make a difference, because they're the people who are going to help us through the next few years as they grow. So that's my input towards that. If we could tweak those small things. I think this is a great program that you've put together in a really short time frame. And I think this is going to work really well. So thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, followed by Councilmember Fender.
So I'm going to repeat what everybody just said, so I'll keep it really short. I too think the micro grants, getting money to the people who are affected, I'd like to see that as a priority. I think networking and mentoring opportunities are very important, but when you have somebody whose business has suffered, as so many have, those micro grants are going to be more beneficial, I would think. But then again, I'm not a small business owner, so I too wanted to ask the question about how much of this can we change moving forward. I mean, you have a line that says it can be adjusted. So what actually are you submitting then on June 1st? So I understand what that looks like first.
Sure, thanks for the question, Mayor Pro Tem. So it's not going to be much more detailed than what you see here. There will be some categories like personnel, supplies. It'll be kind of general line items like that, but it will be by program area. So we would identify each program area and then have line items within each program area. And the other thing I should have mentioned or just, I guess, brought back up, as I shared at the very beginning, we're also considering a 2-year implementation. So potentially year one could be 50-50-50. And I think after that then we could evaluate how it's going, what adjustments we may want to make at that point too. So particularly on the oversight component, so it's not, $100,000 in year one, it's a piece of that in year one. So it's over a couple of years as well. So just forgot to mention that earlier.
Okay, that's good. So we can tweak it as we go along because I guess that's my other concern. Here we are talking about this, but what does the small business community have to say about this? I'd like their input, and they may say, I want X. Right. Is really helpful. So how are we going to engage them to understand that we're doing the right things with the program criteria? Where do they come into this?
Right, and I agree. I think that's a critical next step. So I think it could be a combination of things. I think, surveys is an easy thing to say. I think more likely something like a focus group, convening some business owners or going to them potentially. I know time is always a challenge. But I think some more in-depth feedback and comments that you would get through a focus group type of input session would be potentially more valuable than just a survey, and potentially, instead of having to write it all out, potentially we could get some just more in-depth discussion going. So I think that would be another.
I 100% agree.
Option.
I think it's we may all have good intentions of when we dole out a program that we think we know
right.
what people need, but I think we need. No, I don't think. I know we need to find out from the very people we're trying to help what they need. So I think that is really, really going to be critically important. And then the last thing I'll just add, then the wording that you're going to submit in this application or what document that you have to submit by June 1st, is the wording going to be this flexible, like criteria could include, types of eligible business could be our focus. Is that what you're going to submit?
Yes, that would be our intent. I think we have to provide some information to them. And again, a relatively tight time frame. Would have liked more time to maybe think through exactly what we are going to submit, but I think it can be at a relatively high level, and that's our
Okay, that's
understanding,
good.
and it's not locking anything in.
That's good. And we're dealing with the federal government, so that's, I understand. Sometimes their deadlines are their deadlines. So, okay,
Right.
thank
And
you.
I got the sense that there is a great amount of flexibility in that we are not being told by them, which we thought could be a possibility, where they're dictating the terms and conditions to us. Generally, of course, it's through the Small Business Administration. It's going to support small business, but I think we have some ability and discretion to submit our program to them. So.
Okay, thank you. This is, obviously this is new to all of us, but so this is a great step. And then thank you for the FY23 submittals too, for the additional solar panel projects. That'll be fabulous if they come through too. So thank you for that work.
Councilmember Fender, followed by Councilmember Rowe.
Yeah, I'm going to weigh in with the others that I agree with, that I want to see as much of this $300,000 going into the hands of the small business owners. It would look really bad to allocate $100,000 for overhead to manage or to distribute $200,000. But I also agree with Mayor Pro Tem. She brought up a good point about getting feedback from the small business owners. Maybe they do want the help with marketing and communication or mentoring opportunities. But as much as possible, I would like the micro grants going to the business owners. And then just one other small comment. I would think dry cleaners would be included in this category as one of the industries that would have been impacted, right? And so it is independent, so it's not going to go to Starbucks.
Right. I mean, that's what we have
Okay.
brought forward tonight. I think sometimes that discussion can be tricky. For example, like a McDonald's, depending on how you define it. If it's a locally owned franchise, some may define that as a small business. So that's why I think the discussion that we're going to have about how to define that is critical. But right, it wouldn't, with what we are putting forward and proposing, it wouldn't.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
Just to be clear, that's a later discussion.
Exactly.
We're not doing that tonight.
Right.
Okay.
Don't have to make that decision tonight.
Councilmember Rao, followed by Councilmember Garamella.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great program, and I think, obviously, I thank Congresswoman Ross for leading these efforts, working with our staff. I wish the money was more, because $300,000 really isn't a lot of money, especially in a town with so many businesses. So if we could, down the road, lobby for more money, would be great. As I've been traveling around to go see a lot of businesses over the last couple months, I am getting a lot of concerns from businesses that the SBA programs have been too bureaucratic. It's too hard to get a hold of the money. I've been to a lot of presentations, see a lot of PowerPoint slides. People go through the stuff, and they just, after a while, they get fed up. And also small and disadvantaged businesses, minority businesses. Some businesses may not have employees, so the ones that with the employees were getting the PPP money, but not some of these other businesses. So I think whatever we can do in this program to make sure that we're aware of the needs of minority businesses, disadvantaged businesses, and making sure that the program, whatever staff support we have, is doing a little bit more hand-holding to help these businesses access the funding, because having funding there that they know they can get, that the minute the program goes in, they just aren't able to get it. So, I just feel like we have an opportunity here to be more nimble and more agile, but definitely some of the SBA programs I've seen a lot of good things happen, but definitely think that there's just a lot of bureaucracy in getting this money, and I've been getting a lot of negative feedback from businesses about that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Garamella, please.
I always shot. Basically, I've heard everyone. How about we change the microgrants to 150 and make the other two 75. That way, it will help the microgrant and then adjust the money so that maximum can go to the microgrant. Just a thought. Because everyone has been talking about micro, and also you got to understand the management oversight fee is a 2-year. So if we fund anyone, it's a 2-year process, not just you think it's 100,000, but think of 2 years that person has to be there to administer and do all those things. But if we can do that adjustment, I think that will be a win-win for everyone.
I was thinking we wouldn't necessarily prescribe anything, but let staff go forth with what they think from what we've heard, if that's okay.
What's that?
We could, no? You want to actually just tell staff what it should be, the percentages?
I think council should respond to Councilmember Garamella's suggestion because the submission is not done. All of us have wanted to expand the number of microgrants. We have a 10% wiggle room, but if we make the microgrants bigger, that 10% is bigger.
But it has to come from somewhere, so the 10% applies to the smallest percentage.
True, but I'd just like to hear from others.
Sure, that's fine. If anyone wants to react to Councilmember Garamella's comment, that's why we're here. Mayor Pro Tem.
So I would agree with Councilmember Garamella. I think we've heard every single person say they want to see the micro grant. So I think as long as we can tweak this as we move along, I don't see any harm. I think that, and unless you all think otherwise, I think it shows at least from a council standpoint, our concern where we want to see the money actually in the hands of small businesses more so than maybe anything else at this point, until we hear otherwise.
Okay. Would you like to react, or Town Manager?
No, I would say you have given us enough feedback to be able to present that June 1st submission, and Michael is accurate. I sensed on the call it was a general framework they're looking for. They have their due diligence they need to do, but we do have flexibility. My comments are related to year one. We do need to get things up and going and programs established, determine how we can issue that money, determine how we're going to administer that. That's a whole level and set of skill sets we may not have, or we may find it a better way to pay for. I think it's important to focus some of the money in marketing and connections and networks so that we build that relationship, not just give out money. And so that's why there's the multiple components of the program. But I think we have enough to modify to get that first submission in to start that process. It'll have some ramp up time to develop the things to support the program in the first year.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do you have any questions?
No, thanks for
you
your
feel like
feedback.
you have what you need?
Thanks. I appreciate the
So
direction.
you
I
need
think
head
we can
nods
move
to
forward.
go forth and submit? Yes?
Of course.
You've got that. Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Luck.
Did you have something else, Councilmember? Did you have something else? No, okay. How long does staff feel the admin report will take for the advisory committee? Because we're scheduled to take a break in about 6 minutes.
Well, the admin report would not be discussed unless you want to discuss it. Eric has provided to you to review to actually discuss at the June 14th meeting, unless you prefer to do something else.
We don't have to discuss
No,
it.
we don't need to.
I just had one comment about it. In that the PMAC, I think that would be something to consider, have them really look at the objectives and goals in our strategic plan. That might be a really appropriate thing for them to have in their work plan. So that's just my thought on that, to start the resident oversight. So we'll discuss that more on the 14th, but that's just planting the seed for that. Did anyone else have any other thoughts about the work plans as demonstrated already? Okay, that's wonderful. Then why don't we go ahead and take a 15-minute break. So we'll reconvene at 7:36. And then at that time, we'll be having public address.
Why don't we, can we allow the public work
The
to
public
have
group get
public
it up.
address?
I think it's going to be pretty long.
How many do we have right now?
Yeah,
As
let's take a
many,
break.
3 minutes each, so we're going to take a break. We appreciate your patience.
Can we make it a
10
10-minute
minutes.
break?
10 minutes break.
I think these folks have been waiting
Seems
a
like
long
everyone's ready to
time.
take a 10-minute break, so we'll do that. We'll come back at 7:31, please.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Town manager, ready to resume? Okay. So I'm going to bring us back into order. At this time, Deputy Town Clerk Hudson will present any public comments received. Comments on one of the annexations or the proposed FY 2023 budget should be held until those hearings are conducted following public address. So for public address, you get to speak to the body for up to 3 minutes. If you reach the timer clicking off, if you could please just finish that thought. If you have any thoughts beyond that, please email them to us and the town clerk at towncouncil@townofmorrisville.org. We ask that you address the council as a whole, not any individuals, and you have courtesy and decorum as you come. And I believe we have a number of people listed, so if the deputy town clerk can call like the first three, first person will go to the microphone, the next two will line up, and we'll do that as we get through the group. If the group is going to be substantially saying a lot of the same things, please consider, if you've already heard what you were going to say, you don't necessarily need to come up, just let us know that. If you'd like to say, and I'd like to show the support of the other people in the room, feel free to ask them to stand, and that's another way to show the support for your item. At this time, I'd like to recognize Deputy Town Clerk to begin reading the names.
All right, I'm going to call the first three names. Please forgive me if I have any mispronunciation. The first one is Sai Needamani. The second name is Venkat Pasimari. The third is Vijas Kohli. Again, I apologize if I've mispronounced anyone's name. Please step up to the stand microphone here, and I'll start the timer when you begin speaking. You can go ahead and start.
Yeah. Good evening, dear council members and staff of Morrisville. First of all, today, we want to actually, we're all terribly heartbroken, and troubled to learn the tragic event that happened today at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. That took 14 lives of innocent children, one teacher, and left many children injured. Our deepest condolences to the families, teachers, and the classmates enduring this unspeakable tragedy. We are here actually to discuss about Morrisville Cardinals cricket team and the cricket in local community here. And I request, there are many people who took their time out of their busy schedules to came here to support it. And I request people who came for that to stand up, please. Thank you. So I am one of the owners of the Morrisville Cardinals, and we are very proud to bring a professional sports team to this town. And we were extremely passionate to put town of Morrisville on cricket map. We ran the season for last 2 seasons, and in fact reached playoffs last year, and are excited to start this new season in June this year. Town was very helpful and supportive in this journey, providing facilities and other logistics for past 2 seasons, and we were extremely grateful for it. We built a strong culture around Cardinals for past 2 years, bringing the community together and providing a lot of business opportunities to local businesses. Many local officials were gracious in attending the game here at Church Street and were excited about the prospect for the game of the cricket here in Triangle area. Unfortunately, ACE, which is American Cricket Enterprise, unilaterally canceled our contract a few weeks back without any valid reasons. This is deeply disappointing and unfair for owners, fans, supporters, and the town for the time, effort, and capital investments we all did collectively invested in the last 2 years. Many local sponsors who came forward and promoted Cardinals and game of cricket in this area are deeply anguished knowing that Morrisville Cardinals contract has been terminated by ACE. We were also informed by other few franchise owners about their team being terminated by ACE without proper expectations. Actually, one of the teams actually sent an email to the town manager, letting Martha know about, how they felt about a similar situation like us. We believe the cancellations of these franchises like Morrisville Cardinals are done by ACE only to their personal gains rather than the best interests for the game of the cricket. We want to bring this to town and council members' attention to be aware of unfair practices by ACE in this regard, and we request your kind help in this matter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. And I apologize. One thing I meant to mention in the intro, please your name and your residential address for the record as you begin speaking. If you could provide that real quick, we'll move on to the next speaker.
My name is Sai Nidamarthi. I'm a resident here at 265 Seymour Place, Cary, North Carolina.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next speaker.
My name is Sunil Battala. I live in 501 Willingham Road, Morrisville.
This is Ram Kuntumukula, 205 Oceanside Lane, Cary, NC. And I just want to reiterate what Sai just mentioned. We've been here for many years. Cricket has always been a big part of our culture. And it's extremely disappointing to see the way these things have fell off. We spent a lot of time, money, effort, capital, and sweat and equity trying to build this team over here. And unfortunately, ACE has canceled it with no obvious reasons that really doesn't make much sense to us. So we want the town to look into it, and we appreciate all the help you guys have done for us for the past 2 years. Thank you.
And just to be clear, generally council does not address comments during public address. Staff hears it, council hears it, and then we take action. So when I first saw you go into the room, sir, I saw Rangers, and I thought you were in the wrong state, but that's the Texas Rangers, so that's okay.
Yeah, this is my team's name, what I play here.
Okay, so that's fine.
I just want to replicate that.
Your name and address for the record, sir?
Yeah, so my name is Venkata Pasumarthi. I've been in this area from past 12 years. I've been a resident of Morrisville from past 9 years. So my present address is 1504 Ferntree Court, Morrisville. So this is related to what the other gentleman is speaking. So we heard, I've been an active cricket player here. I'm captain of a team and one of the BODs of the Triangle Cricket League. So my concern here is more about the way the functionality of Triangle Cricket League in terms of the new team. So Morrisville Cardinals team, after it is being terminated, we are hearing some news that that team will be managed going forward by Triangle Cricket League, which is against the bylaws of the Triangle Cricket League because TCL is a non-profit organization and the one which ACE is promoting is a profit organization. So there will be a huge conflict of interest there. And as a BOD, I'm utterly shocked because there was no communication from our executive body to us that TCL will be managing this going forward. So I just want to let you know that this could hamper a lot of contracts going forward because any kind of discussions or changes that has to happen at TCL have to be discussed with BODs. I'm one among them, and it has to go through the process of voting and eventually has to be included into the bylaw. But we never have had associated with any private firm so far. So if this news is true, that TCL is going to work with a new private firm to going forward to work on a team, I think that's against the bylaws. So I just wanted to mention you that. So going forward, any contracts that will be written will have an impact on that. On top of it, we already have been seeing some impacts, like they've changed the quality of our game balls associating with the minor cricket league, which has been our point of discussion with all the captains across the league. So we want to bring that up to the league probably next month, where we'll have our quarterly general body meeting, and we want to oppose that. So we have to survive as a non-profit league. We have to take our own decisions and run this league forward, and we are not associated with any other ACE or minor league or ESA cricket to that matter. So that is a concern from our league perspective. And also they are making some changes that USA Cricket membership has to be taken as a mandatory for each and every playing member. I always take it because it was an option going forward, but this year they made it a mandatory for all the teams. So which is a concern on the members as well. So which means as a league, we have enough concerns to take care of in the quarterly general body meeting, and all these rules frameworks will be discussed during February every year where we vote and all. But this has been a shocker to us that Triangle Cricket League will be working with a private firm to run a team, which will be a replacement of Morrisville Cardinals, which is much, much more sad news to her. So I just want to bring this to your notice. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next three names.
All right, the next three names I see are Rajesh Uppalapati, Vinod Paki, and Vasan Ali.
Whenever you're ready, sir. Just name and address for the record to begin, please.
Hi, my name is Rajesh Uppalapati. I live in 112 Vista Brook Drive, Morrisville. I have been a resident of Morrisville for past 24 years and in this address for 15 years across the street. So first I'd like to thank the town council and managers to listen to what we are trying to express or what we are trying to do the concern here. And some of you may not know me, some of you might know me, but I have been worked with the town when the town started the youth program for the cricket, because first youth cricket is started in this area by the town of Morrisville, and that's one of the first programs across the US. And when I started the TCL, I was the president of the TCL, and I started the TCL, and I wrote the first bylaws also. And I can assure you, and I can tell you fully confidently, not many of you might know it, but without unconditional support from the town council and the managers and the Parks and Recs department, TCL would not have survived more than 1 year, because you have no clue how much you helped us to survive and put our footing in, and then from where we built on it. So I look at it as TCL as the community, and TCL is built on community, not for a personal gain, not for a profit organization to come and to take over us. It is for the community in this area, and where us and our kids can grow together watching cricket that we have been used to back in India. And that has been its goal, and we received unconditional support from that one too. Why am I saying that one too? And I also currently, the USA Cricket, NC Regional Youth Coordinator. So basically I coordinate all the activities. Why does it matter? I'll give you okay, I have 1 minute, right? So I'll give you a small listing to it. There are 3 different organizations. Our national governing body is the USA Cricket, which is the one that we worked out to give the first international matches in this area. That is nothing to related, international matches are not related to the ACE. They do not have power to do that one too. It is the national governing body, which is the USA Cricket, that provides that one. And the next question that is going to come down is ACE is a for-profit, and it is a partner of USA Cricket to manage the minor league and the major leagues, which is for-profit, and the teams like Cardinals, they can take care of it. That is their own domain. That should not be coming into the community edition or any of the non-profit organization. But it is coming over and taking over that one too. Why does all this matter? It matters because the contract is in the contract, and the elections and the voting blocks that are being created from TCL. And there is an election which is going to happen in the next 2 months, and 2 of the positions that are there, which is going to, by some kind of weird circumstances, TCL has the most voting block as of right now. That can change the outcome of the election. But why does it matter for the elections? It is simple, because the contract between USA Cricket and ACE is not yet signed. Whatever is the initial contract is expired, and the next contract has not been signed for the last 2 years. The main clause, one of the things is, if it is signed, 95% of the ad revenue that comes to the national governing body is going to go to ACE. So they are trying to promote it. And this board of these directors that are up for the election supports the ACE. They are in the ACE payroll, and even the chairman is also in the same board. So there are a lot of actions in that, but I would like to request the town to be vigilant in their contract with the ACE, because from my point of view, that is really out of sequence, not having it the governing body of the national cricket, rather than having it the private entity. So please review it and make sure we are in the best interest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't ever want to cut anyone off, so if you could just try to, right when you hear the first beep, go ahead and finish your thoughts, please, and feel free to email us. Sir?
Good evening, Town Council members and town staff. My name is Vasant Ale, and resident of Morrisville, 313 Millicent Way. I'm dismayed and disappointed to learn that Morrisville Cardinals contract with American Cricket Enterprise has been terminated. As an avid cricket fan, I'm deeply disappointed, and because of the effort and time that was spent the past 2 years by so many of volunteers here, and especially town of Morrisville, which also put a lot of effort and whose time and effort has been wasted. Moreover, I heard that ACE has similarly canceled contracts with other minor league teams around the country, to name a few, Chicago Tigers and Atlanta Paramveers. I'd like to cite an article in ESPN Cricket Info, which is the world's leading cricket website, written by a person, Peter Della Penna, this month. It appears that the contract negotiation is pending for the past 3 years between ACE and USA Cricket. There are several systemic issues actually with USA Cricket. I'll just highlight one. The chairman for USA Cricket, who himself has an expired membership at USA Cricket and has a conflict of interest with ACE, he resigned finally since a lawsuit was filed by holding 5 directors for not conducting elections for USA Cricket Board in a fair and democratic manner. USA Cricket, which is a not-for-profit organization, is recognized by International Cricket Council for development of cricket in the United States, and has a tie-up with ACE for a for-profit LLC in a lopsided agreement, which is what I'm going to state why I feel that way. As I think the other gentleman also mentioned the same thing, that ACE keeps 95% of their profits and leaves just 5% for USA Cricket. And then a cancellation of the T20 and ODI matches due to COVID has resulted in further loss of revenue for USA Cricket. And they've been laying off their staff for good reasons, because they cannot fund all this. So I'd like to ask, is the town of Morrisville cognizant of any agreement between ACE and USA Cricket? I'll leave that question for you guys. And USA Cricket actually has conducted T20 international matches in Morrisville back in 2018. As per Article 7 of the agreement between ACE and town of Morrisville, ACE was going to make reasonable efforts to host matches here, but they haven't guaranteed any assertions to the town to bring in matches, international cricket matches here.
So if you could send us that email.
Sure.
That would be great.
Yeah, and I believe the town to revisit this contract between ACE to develop the game of cricket here in Morrisville, and if possibly request to engage directly with US Cricket and ICC. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, the next 3 names I have are Chai Kambara, Havan Yawamsadi, and Murray Akena.
Okay, your name and record for the name and address for the record, please.
Council. Good evening, town staff. My name is Chari Kambara. I live at like a 613 Barkham Creek Court, Cary, North Carolina. So,
if you want to approach a little closer.
Okay, sorry. So I think I just wanted to add in like to the other gentlemen and my colleagues what they have said about the ACE Cricket, ACE organization basically. So I think with all the malpractices or like whatever they are being unfair with all the cricket associations across the country. There are multiple lawsuits against them. So I want like town to consider those things, and if we need, like, we can email those things in detail about the lawsuits, what has been filed on those that organization, so that town can consider in the contract between like A's and the town of Morrisville. And also we have been like completely devastated like with canceling of the contract with the Morrisville Cardinals team, which is like kind of our home team here. We've been growing with us and working very hard like for the team to grow, and which helps the town also, which has helped the town very much in bringing up the name across the country. So I request everybody to consider about the contract like with the A's. Thank you.
Thank you.
They have taken all my speaking points, but I'm going to say a few words to support and express thank you, council members and managers. You're one good group of people, and thank you for service. I'm here to tell you, I'm basically recapping what I'm hearing is that ACE, American Cricket Enterprise, has badly contracted with a member of Cardinal, an individual member, not with the team, and brought it to ruins. Now they come back and contract with the city of Morrisville, assuring that they will bring to the city the international games and major league games, that they cannot do it and they are not capable of any jurisdiction over it. It feels like the Morrisville agreement, I'm not questioning anybody's judgment, that maybe it's a kind of understanding or lack of understanding of that they may have incorrectly contracted for a business to bring the major leagues and the games here. So in other words, that the ICC and the US Cricket Association is the one we need to contract with, and Cardinals being the honor and we all have vested in it. I wished when Morrisville contracted with ACE, they should have at least kept the Cardinals members, the team owners in mind and brought them some justice. Now Cardinals is gone. We don't have a team in Morrisville. It's not fair. And I heard that the city of Morrisville has paid $100,000 check a couple of weeks ago to attract games while they killed our own team. So please to rethink. I think this whole thing has caused a lot of pain in the community. I don't understand the triangle cricket, the whole infrastructure of it, how it works, but to rethink the contract. Thank you.
Sir, if you could give your residential address before you walk too far, I appreciate that.
20223 Giovanni Court, Cary, North Carolina.
Thank you.
All right, next I see Megnath, Venkeet, Ritavanam, and Chandra Yavranama.
Dear Mayor and Town Council members, I came to know that yes, American Cricket Enterprise cancelled the agreement with the Morrisville Cardinals, and I'm really disappointed with that. So when I first heard that the cricket ground is being built here in Morrisville town, I was so excited that we're going to get some opportunity to watch the international cricket matches. Okay, and looks like things are not favorable to international matches at our grounds at this moment. To give some background on the issues that I want to talk, ICC expelled USA from international cricket 3 times since 2005. The recent incident was in 2017. This information is actually found in an article by Peter Della Penna, who is USA correspondent for ESPN Cricinfo. His articles are found to be accurate. The reason for expulsion was irregularities and bad governance.
Can you speak loud?
Okay. Now, ICC is watching USA cricket. Now, ICC is watching USA Cricket Association closely, and with the ongoing regulations by CEO and chairman, there is a possibility that ICC may exclude USA from hosting 2024 T20 World Cup. While USA Cricket has its own problems, and ACE is a representative of USA Cricket, and I am unsure how ACE will help in bringing any international cricket matches to the town. I am also concerned with the agreement that the town has with the ACE. Morrisville is one of the best living places in the country, okay? And I don't want this image of our town to be tarnished. I humbly request you to look into this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. And your residential address and name again, please?
This is Meghnath Kodem. My address is 304 Bradson Road, Morrisville.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members and the staff. My name is Venkat Brundavanam, and my address is 1932 Weaver Forest Way, Morrisville. So I live very close to our Church Street Park and cricket ground. And in 2018, we have international matches. We went there with family, and we really had a great time. And I did volunteer to our hometown Cardinals as well. I think we had those matches as part of the town contract with USA Cricket. So when we have already established relationship with the USA Cricket, I didn't understand why we have to have a new contract with ACE, which hardly have any influence to bring additional matches to our hometown. Because if you look at it right now, in this month, May 28th and June, we have ICC cricket going on in Texas, and we don't have any matches here. So that means ACE could not get us any matches, though there are some international matches going on within our nation here. So I am afraid this might repeat in 2024 World Cup as well. If ACE is not able to bring anything, and even USA Cricket may not be interested to work with us because we already have a relation with ACE, contract with ACE, which is going to be a challenge for USA Cricket to work with our town. And that is where I wanted to really request the city, our town council members and staff to see what is really a value having a contract with ACE to the town versus working with a non-profit organization like USA Cricket and ICC versus ACE, which is a profit organization. And if you look at one of the, I think clause 6.2 in our contract, where the competitor cricket games events, we as a town cannot go outside of the ACE and have a relation with other organizations like USA Cricket. So kind of we are bound with the ACE, which is not adding value, and at the same time, they're not able to bring value to our town. And also the other clause, 6.1, if you look at the profit sharing between ACE and town, I think we're only getting like a 20% of the profit. The ACE is taking like 80% of it. With all the infrastructure we are providing, ground, infrastructure, and everything, I don't know, 20% is really a fair share for the town versus ACE, which is a commercial organization, taking majority of the share and not adding much value by bringing more matches, which we might not be able to do. So I really wanted to request city to look into this, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Town Council and town staff. This is Chandra Yella Pantula. I live at 7013 Lake Road. I was told that ACE cancelled his Morrisville Cardinals franchise at our local cricket. But so with all due respect, the current mayor and current council member, if you remember, like 4 years back or 3 years back, when USA Cricket came first time here, we told them very clearly that we're going to build a pitch, whatever the pitch you guys want to here, we'll build it, bring the international cricket here. And they accepted it, and we built the cricket pitch here, and the cricket matches were happen, and the USA cricket, right, so Morrisville is a hometown for the USA cricket. That's even for now. But it looks like the Aces came into the picture, and the Ace and the USA cricket is having some kind of a conflict, and it looks like by all listening to these things, the Ace is having a running model of a quid pro. You get something and I get something. You win, I win, kind of a stuff. You take some money, I take some money. Let the cricket go to hell, right? That kind of a business Aces are running, right? Which is not at all acceptable for our Morrisville, and as well as for the USA cricket, which is like a home ground for the entire US cricket, right? The Morrisville is considered the home ground for it. So not only that, it looks like the Aces does not have any of a framework of how to run and what to do, what not to do, kind of stuff. I'll give you a classic example. I'm the eyewitness. When was the finals matches happening here in the last time in the minor league, right? We are having a lot of reputed people over here in the town, right? They were not even properly received, not properly, because that means they think that they're on top of everybody, right? They came from the heaven and they are running the show. No, they need to put their feet onto the ground, and they need to find what is the ground reality, where they are. They are in the Morrisville, right? And the Morrisville council members will come, they will not get respected. The reputed doctors will come, they won't get respected. Nobody will get respected at that time. Right? That Ace is completely unilaterally, they are cancelling these things. And I heard that it is having the contracts, in a unilateral contracts, as I said, the quid pro kind of stuff. So I strongly recommend it to council to look into the Ace contracts with Morrisville town, and please consider this and take a action where the cricket wins. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last two names on my list are Sai Sudini and Sridini Meduni. Again, I apologize for any mispronunciation.
Yeah, my name is Sai Sudani. I live on 4117 Piney Gap Drive, Cary, North Carolina, 27519. So good evening, town council, town staff, cricket lovers. So all these people, they work in Morrisville, they live in Morrisville, they pay tax in Morrisville. So they want to play cricket in Morrisville, right? So I strongly believe our town council is very smart, and Martha, manager, and Frank, our attorney. Please look into some small amendments to the contract. Make sure the contract between AS and town of Morrisville, they have at least one local team. They spend a lot of time in Morrisville. They're allowed to have a team by ourselves. When you go there, we don't know who's from California or Arizona or Phoenix. We want somebody from local team. You can call me Morrisville Cardinals or Morrisville Buffaloes. It doesn't matter. We need somebody local team. I strongly recommend council members, Martha and our attorney Frank, please make sure, spend some time, revisit the contract. There is always, you can find something better than what we have right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shri Devi Mudnuri, 1 Copley Parkway, Morrisville. This is the business address, but I live more than 70 hours per week. I feel like, it is the
We do ask for a
address.
residential address, though, please.
265 Seymour Place.
Thank you.
Good evening, all. I think all of you heard from all my, community leaders, fellows, cricket lovers, ardent cricket fans, what is going on. I don't need to say anything. The sport which enhances the social and cultural inclusiveness by bringing together the individuals and communities. And also, I always believe that it has the power to create the universal framework which could learn the values like inclusiveness, team building, persuasiveness, fairness, all that. The fundamentals of town of Morrisville, which I've experienced living away from home country, India, a good culture. Looks like that good culture has been damaged and tarnished by the A's here. As a mother of 2 kids, my dream is to take my kids and watch a cricket game in the middle of the town of Morrisville, and with the grandkids too, down the lane, and give them the experience of cricket with this kind of a bad culture, because the sport, it should be insulated from the politics. What I heard so far is, I thought that I know a lot what's going on, but after listening to everybody, it's the unfair practices of ACE and the non-standardized governance of the sport across the franchises, which is against what I have seen and experienced in the town of Morrisville last 25 years. My request to the council members and the town officials, everybody here, as a responsible citizens, we should not encourage this kind of culture. We do at our best, at our capacity, wherever. It could be ACE, it could be communities, it could be you, me, whoever, who is promoting the bad culture should be stopped. My sincere, humble, honest request to all of you here is, please do the needful to protect the town of Morrisville good culture, which all of us experienced. Thank you.
Thank you. So I believe we've gone to the bottom of the list, but out of courtesy, we always ask, is there someone who didn't sign up tonight who would like to address this body for 3 minutes? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. And okay, please, your name and address, residential address for the record, sir.
My name is Sambashivara Nanduri. I'm 104 Ruthven Drive, Morrisville. Even though I just stepped in late, after listening, I don't know the background of the whole, the reason why, the background, but after listening to all these people, I'm really, I never thought of coming here and talk here, but after listening to everybody here, I just came here and wanted to express my opinions as a citizen of Morrisville. As you might have heard, this team is our team, and we need to encourage our people, and that's how we can unite our culture, we can raise our culture. My kid is also plays cricket, and I request the council to strongly take note of all these opinions and take a very honest and decision in favor of Cardinals. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. Your name and residential address,
This is
please.
Dr. Padmaja Sharma. I'm a faculty in NC State. And I don't live in Morrisville, I live in Cary. But I don't have skin in the game to begin with. I don't play cricket. But cricket for us from India is a religion. We consider it as a religion. Now, whatever I've heard today, it's completely unethical practices that has been brought into Morrisville. And as my co-residents of Morrisville and Cary have already expressed, it's definitely bringing a lot of anguish to the people who are here. And our children, our grandchildren tomorrow have to continue to live in this place. And this is considered to be one of the top 20 places to live. So definitely bring up this kind of practicing to an end, and hopefully all you learned people out here in the council, and of course I know you personally also, and I'm sure things will work out the best to the community. Thank you so much. And I live in 306 Melvin Jackson, Cary, North Carolina.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. As I noted earlier, we really appreciate your input. We have heard all of this, and this will be in the minutes. And there will be discussions about next steps. So we look forward to those, and we'll keep you apprised. Our next item on the agenda is item 11, public hearings. There are, I'll give you guys a moment to, any of you who wish to step out, you're welcome to stay, but
you're going to?
Crap. Okay. Thank you, Sergeant Penland. There are 6 public hearing items on tonight's agenda. Consideration of items related to the annexations of 2929 and 2952 Slater Road, 3713 Davis Drive, 514 Airport Boulevard, 0 Airport Boulevard located southeast of the intersection of Airport Boulevard and McCrimmon Parkway, 0 Airport Boulevard located on McCrimmon Parkway north of its intersection with Competition Center Drive, and the FY 2023 proposed annual operating budget and capital investment program. Kate Murdoch, Planner 1, will facilitate the first 2 public hearing items. Ms. Murdoch.
Good evening, Council. Tonight, we'll be asking you to open the public hearing for the annexation of 2029 and 2952 Slater Road. I don't have any significant updates for you. You may have noticed that the address and parcel identification numbers for this property have changed since the last time it was presented to you 2 weeks ago. That is just because Wake County assigned addresses and new parcel identification numbers to this property between this meeting and the previous one, but the legal description of the property is still the same, and it is still the same parcels and property as it was presented to you at the last meeting, so it's only nominal changes. Do you have any questions for me on that before you open the public hearing?
Looking for any questions? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing open. Deputy Town Clerk Hudson, are there any comments on this item or anyone signed up? Okay. Hearing none, this was duly noticed. I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Still moved.
A motion from Councilmember Garamella.
I'll second.
And a second from Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. All those in favor of, well, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously, 7-0. Any discussion on approving the motion?
Do you have any questions for me before you all take action on the item?
I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rabati, please.
Just one quick question. This is the property previously designated as 0 Slater Road, but now it has an address?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. And I also just want to ask, so I've been informed that the denying the annexation of this property would only, since the project needs water and sewer, that the developer would still possibly request annexation from the town of Cary, and that that would have the effect of reducing the tax base of Morrisville. Is that correct?
I believe so.
All right. Yeah, I have to say that I was not thrilled about this project the last time it came up, but there doesn't seem to be that much point in voting down the annexation. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Seeing no other comments, would you like to bring the language up?
Absolutely.
It has to be
1 moment.
read, correct?
Yes. And so it'll just be this ordinance down here.
Okay. I'd entertain the motion if we read that out completely. Someone, please.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-160-0 of the Morrisville Town Council pertaining to the extension of the town of Morrisville corporate limits to include Slater Road south of its intersection with Carrington Mill Boulevard, commonly known as 2929 and 2952 Slater Road, ANX 22-0007.
A motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries 7-0. Thank you all. You have the next item as well, Ms. Murdoch.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Erin. Town Council. So this next annexation was for 3713 Davis Drive, as presented to you at the previous town council meeting. I have no updates on this item before you open the public hearing.
Okay. Any questions before we do the public hearing? This is, I believe, the minor auto repair.
Yes, correct.
Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Do we have any input or anyone signed up to speak, Deputy Town Clerk? Okay, hearing none. I'd entertain a motion to close this public hearing. A little louder.
I intend to close the public hearing.
Okay, Councilmember Garamello with a motion.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Fender. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that's 7-0. The public hearing is closed. Any discussion on this item before we vote? Okay, I'd entertain a motion as shown on the screen.
I'll
Pro Tem
make a
Johnson,
motion
please.
to approve ordinance 2022-159-0 of the Morrisville Town Council pertaining to the extension of the Town of Morrisville corporate limits to include property located at 3713 Davis Drive, ANX 2022-0008.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, any discussion on that? Sorry, I have to go through every motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Hearing none, that passes unanimously as well. And just to be clear, that was read a little bit differently than what was on the screen, but that's going to be fine. Attorney Gray? It was essentially the same thing, just different order of the words. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms.
Thank you
Murdoch.
all.
Appreciate it. Next item is 11C as in Charlie. Susie Russell, Planner 2, will facilitate the next two public hearing items.
Good evening, Mayor Colley and members of Town Council. Tonight you're looking at the request for the annexation of 514 Airport Boulevard, and there are no new developments that have been added to this petition.
Okay. Any questions before the public hearing? Okay. I declare the public hearing open. Deputy Town Clerk Hudson, is there anyone signed up? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing. I will make that motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second? Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of closing this public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that closed 7-0. The public hearing is closed. Any discussion on the motion to annex before we take the vote? Okay. I will make the assumption and recognize Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-144-0 of the Morrisville Town Council pertaining to the extension of the Town of Morrisville corporate limits to include 514 Airport Boulevard located southeast of the intersection of Airport Boulevard and McCrimmon Parkway, ANX 22-0006.
Second.
And a motion from Councilmember Garamella. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously 7-0. Thank you very much. 11D, Ms. Russell.
Thank you. Okay, and before you now is the annexation petition for 0 Airport Boulevard located southeast of the intersection of Airport Boulevard and McCrimmon Parkway. Again, no new developments for this petition.
Okay, if you do me a favor and just bring up the map that shows, okay, so that was the apartments that are embedded
Yes.
within the Spark.
Yes.
Just so everyone's aware of what we're doing there.
Yes.
Okay, any questions before we open the public hearing? Okay, the public hearing is now open. Deputy Town Clerk Hudson, anyone signed up or anything? Okay, so that was, because there was one. Is that just for the last one?
We have one person signed up to speak on the proposed budget.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing then.
Put a motion to close public hearing.
Okay.
Second.
Councilmember Garamella and seconded by Councilmember Out. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries 7-0 unanimously. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'd recognize Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
So I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-150-0 of the Morrisville Town Council pertaining to the extension of the Town of Morrisville corporate limits to include 0 Airport Boulevard located southeast of the intersection of Airport Boulevard and McCrimmon Parkway, ANX 22-0009.
Second.
Motion and second by Councilmember Garamella. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that carries 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Russell, thank you. Chris Lawson, Planning Manager, will facilitate the final public hearing item.
All right, good evening, Council. Thank you. I have no updates for this item tonight. You're scheduled to hold a public hearing and scheduled to take action afterward, but I am able to take any questions. As a reminder, this is 0 Airport Boulevard located on McCrimmon north of Wake Competition Center. And I will scroll to the ordinance unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, the public hearing is open. Anyone want to provide input in the public hearing? Deputy Clerk Hudson? No? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed unanimously. I'd like to recognize Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-143-0 of the Morrisville Town Council pertaining to the extension of the Town of Morrisville corporate limits to include 0 Airport Boulevard located on McCrimmon Parkway north of its intersection with Competition Center Drive, ANX 22-0005.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor of approving that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries 7-0. Thank you very much to the planning staff for taking us through a lot of stuff. I know a lot of work was done behind the scenes on all of those items. Okay. Martha Page, Town Manager, and Jeannie Hooks, Director of Management Services, will facilitate the final item. We will have a more full discussion of this item at our work session later this evening. Ms. Hooks.
Good evening. I'm pleased to request council to open a public hearing for your fiscal year 23 budget and CIP. I have a few updates. So you will notice at your place that I have placed an update of the portal. That's the final portal as it's closed at noon today. A copy of a letter from the Morrisville Chamber of Commerce, a version B of your FAQs, updated FAQs. And then also staff has presented, based on council's request at our last work session, an alternative staggered fee recommendations for the stormwater program. So in setting the stage for the work session tonight, I just want to mention that I will cover at the work session a quick review of your action items and a review of the stormwater alternative staggered fees that are recommended. Okay. At this time, I would ask you to open the hearing and continue it to May 26th as we have advertised.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Any questions before I open the public hearing? Seeing none, the public hearing is open. Deputy Clerk Smith, Hudson.
I'll call Raymond Trapp. He's the only individual we have signed up.
Your name and residential address for the record, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am Raymond Trapp, and my address is actually 1213 Orchard Oriole Lane in Durham, North Carolina. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of council, Manager Page. I'll be brief. I heard that you all have a letter from the Morrisville Chamber of Commerce, and that's why I'm here representing tonight. Just wanted to go on the record and make sure that our concerns are heard as far as how immediately doubling the impact fees for water usage would have a disastrous impact on some corporate citizens within Morrisville. So we just want to be sure that we put that on the record and put that out there in this time of coming out of the pandemic, and a lot of people think that the pandemic's done, but it's not. And we have a lot of small businesses as well as a lot of large corporate businesses that are still struggling to make up ground from the pandemic and over the past couple of years. So we just like to have that on the record, but also putting out there that we understand the delicate balance that goes between infrastructure needs and also keeping the growth that the town has had over the last couple of years and keeping up with that pace and making sure that we keep that vibrant Morrisville that everyone wants and the needs that go within. So just wanted to put that on the record as someone that sat on that side of the dais before and had to make difficult decisions. I appreciate your service and appreciate everything that you do. And to the manager, I always love having time with her because she's very smart, very brilliant, and brings so much to the table. So thank you all for everything that you do.
Thank you. So was there anyone else? Anyone in the room who want to speak on that item? Okay. We're planning to hold that open. My red line indicates that we should have a motion to hold the public hearing open. Is that necessary, attorney, or is it advertised as such so it's fine? Should we make the motion? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to continue holding this public hearing open through the 26th.
I'll make that motion. Second.
And a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously 7-0. We're holding the public hearing till the 26th at least.
Does Mr. Trapp need to make his comments again, or are they considered part of the public hearing?
They are part of the public hearing, and just for the record, for public hearings, you only get one chance. Okay. Okay, excellent. At this time, we are scheduled to take a break, and then we'll come back and have some other items. Are we comfortable with a 10-minute break, or would we like the full 15 this time?
Can we do comments and then take a break before the work session?
The future meetings are now, and then comments. We can do those both if you want, because we're not scheduled to break till 8:45, so we can get those in if people are willing to wait another 10 minutes.
How long is the work session?
That one's pretty much up to us. It's scheduled for
45 minutes.
An hour, and then we got 3 closed sessions. One move.
45 minutes for the work session. But like I said, that's mostly up to us.
Yeah, I'm just advocating we do council comments and then take a break before we do the work session.
I agree. Yeah. I just wanted to know if we could power through the work session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to quite get that before the break. Okay.
No, okay.
So a couple of things, and then we'll go into council comments. These are future meetings, events, and citizen involvement opportunities, item 12. Every Saturday morning from 8 a.m. until 12 noon, the Western Wake Farmers Market offers healthy and fresh food, goods, and live music from small and local businesses. Tomorrow is a big day for our 55-year-olds plus residents, of which I am one. There will be a walk in the park at Church Street Park starting at 9 a.m. and lots of other activities throughout the day at the Morrisville Aquatic and Fitness Center. Please see our website or social media for more details. Monday, May 30th, town offices will be closed for Memorial Day, and the Smart Shuttle will not be operating either. Music in the Park is back for 2022 and is free and open to the public. Join us once a month, June through September, for live music and a refreshment at the Healthy Food Hub at 260 Town Hall Drive. The inaugural event will be Friday, June 3rd from 6:30 till 8 p.m. and will feature Ed Stevenson and the Paco Band, a high-energy Nuevo Flamenco ensemble performing original music. Bring a chair or blanket to relax on the lawn. Our next white goods collection is Thursday, June 9th. Please see our website to register in advance and confirm what will be accepted. The Morrisville Fire Rescue Department will be hosting our bike safety rodeo for kids. That's toddlers to age 18 on June 11th from 10 a.m. until noon. Bring your bicycle in for a free inspection and then prove your safety knowledge and riding ability on our skills course. The rodeo will be held at 200 Town Hall Drive, Morrisville Fire Rescue Station number 1. The second annual Juneteenth celebration will be on Saturday, June 11th from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Cedar Fork Community Center. Join us as we celebrate the emancipation of slaves and the achievements of Morrisville's African-American community through speakers, storytellers, food, fun, activities, music, vendors, entertainment, and more. For a full listing of events, please see the town calendar at www.townofmorrisville.org. We are now at item 13, council and manager comments. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Garamella, followed by Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Thanks, Mayor. I think I want to give a big shout out to the fire banquet that we had last Friday, and also the first academy people who came to serve. It's not an easy, like as much as they easily talk about having a fire academy and to do and do the curriculum. A big shout out to the entire, fire department that, and actually I will encourage, one of the things is like the police also have a banquet, because I don't see we have any banquets from the police, and we have more on the fire department. So at least we know, we recognize, the things that go on. I think would be good. But on a side, on a separate and sad note is, just before I was coming in, reading the newspapers about 14 kids, one teacher, and several kids, I don't know how many are. It is really sad when our kids, get shot with no reason, and it really, really upsets me and every school-going parent, will be concerned, and my deepest condolences, and my heart goes with the families, because it'll go a long, long way. We heard about Sandy Brook and others. Just didn't want one more coming in this way. And with that note, I'm deeply, deeply saddened with that incident today.
As are we all. Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, please, followed by myself.
Thank you, Councilmember Garamel. It is indeed a tragedy that we'll know more in days to come. My comments are about the upcoming national holiday, Memorial Day, and that is in honor of those that have served our country and lost their life during their service. We currently are seeking to create the Morrisville Veterans Memorial, which honors those that have served as well as those who have passed during service. And there's a fundraiser at Rosati's Pizza today and tomorrow, so that would be helpful if those of you that are inclined to have that, you have to tell them in person that you're supporting the Morrisville Veterans Memorial. They're not taking online orders for that donation. You have to say it specifically, but that just reminds all of us that we need to pause and be grateful for those that have served our country, and I hope everyone has a very safe weekend. It's going to be a very busy weekend for many of our folks, and we want everybody to have a safe and respectful weekend. Hopefully good weather. Thank you.
Okay. So I will go next, and I've got quite a bit that I want to share, and then it'll be Councilmember Rabadi after that. I want to start off by thanking staff for working so hard to create a wonderful community event on Town Hall Drive last Saturday. Springfest was really well attended. I saw many, many smiling faces, including a great many staff members who spent their Saturday making it possible for all of our residents to have the best time possible. My time on the mechanical bull was pretty short, but it was fun. Congratulations to Azure Clean Rooms for their groundbreaking ceremony last week. These spaces will support the life sciences ecosystem here in the greater Morrisville region. Thank you to Kendall, Travis, and Sarah for providing the Parks and Recreation Department's Spring into Summer program. We finished up on Sunday, and it was a lot of fun to do various activities with fellow residents over the last few months. Congratulations to the first graduates of the Morrisville Fire Rescue Academy. This innovative program provides the best possible way to bring on a new personnel to keep us all safe here in Morrisville. As a member of the Community Emergency Response Team, a number of us were able to attend the live training burn where our town green will be soon, and it was incredible to watch with the families of the new team members how a world-class squad works together to suppress an active fire. Thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Johnson for organizing and the whole council for helping clear litter from the Indian Creek Trailhead and Town Hall campus this past Saturday. This was our fourth outing as a group, with thanks also to Kyle Cooper, who leads the stewardship effort in the Parks and Rec Department, and additional thanks to Will Glenn, our communications director, for coming out. And we also ran into police, fire, and public works folks all working hard on a Sunday. That is dedication, and we appreciate all they do for us. Thank you to Leslie Haney and the Parks and Rec Department for partnering with TTGA for the Kite Festival on Saturday. A big field full of kites and happy, smiling families, shared memories, which strengthen our community. It was mentioned about the Rosati's fundraiser. I just want to note that that's in Bethany Village, which is the Food Lion Shopping Center, so please visit them. I also wish to share the fact that there is an opportunity to be part of the finals program for the Stanley Cup, a single-page advertisement, which has a deadline coming up before our next regular business meeting. I simply wish to get that possibility out in the public in case it comes to fruition. I fully expect our hometown Canes to make it and win the finals, and I hope it is going well right now up in New York. We'll know after the meeting or during the break. The HumSub Youth Achievement Award recognizes youth who have attained outstanding achievements in various fields, such as volunteering, community service, leadership, research, academics, extracurricular activities such as sports, music, and arts, etc. In essence, that group is looking for well-rounded kids. There will be 4 $500 awards. They're offered to winners on the prestigious HumSub Diwali stage every year, which will be October 8th. Please visit humsub.org/youth-award for info. It is open to everyone in town, and that was a lot, and that's all I've got. So I'd now like to recognize Councilmember Body and followed by Councilmember Fender.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson, for correctly identifying Memorial Day as a solemn day of remembrance of the fallen. I'll be participating, and everyone is welcome to participate with me, in Flowers for the Fallen on Sunday morning at Raleigh National on Quarry Road in Raleigh. This is the laying of flowers on the graves of the fallen, and that'll be Sunday morning at 9 a.m. And I also would like to say, oh my God, I've got to start writing this stuff down. Sorry. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Well, let me know. We can circle back to you. Councilmember Fender?
I have no comments, Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Rao, followed by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Well, 5 of my comments have already been said, so I'm just going to leave it to 1. But I do want to congratulate the fire department for just excellent service. My only comments are, this month we celebrated American Heritage Month, Asian American Heritage Month, and I recently wrote an op-ed in WL TechWire called North Carolina Immigrants Are Today's Public Servants. And I just want to take a moment for us just to stop and think about, every day what we're witnessing in Morrisville and in the region. Just last week, Elazar Posada became the first Latino and openly gay city council member in Carrboro when he won election. Satish Garamella, who made this trek from Mumbai to Morrisville and is a leader in our town. Yalu from China to Cary, Dimple Ajmer in Charlotte, and all of the great stories we see every day from the economic and jobs and just the transformation that immigrants are bringing to our region, our state. And I just want to end my comments today just to remind all of us and the public listening that these stories of our immigrants and our successes are reminders of the true greatness of our nation, when we can come from all backgrounds, come from faraway places, and we all share the same core values and belief in what I call the American project, where every success story, every barrier that gets broken down is an affirmation of those values and the enduring power of the American dream. And on Monday, we show our gratitude to those brave soldiers of our military who gave their lives so that dream can endure forever. And as Councilmember Garamella brought up in his comments, it's so very sad that that dream, the same dream I just shared with you, will not be lived or even experienced by 14 children. And I just, it's just heart-wrenching to know that that kind of pain can exist. And we pray for those families, but we also want to pray for any military family who has lost a loved one, any Gold Star family. And I want to wish everyone a somber Memorial Day. But I want to thank our immigrants for being today's public servants. You're what make Morrisville and our country great. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
So you're right, when you go last, everything has been said. I do have one thing I want to say that hasn't been said, and I think we all would agree with this, want to send our heartfelt best wishes to North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein, who is in the hospital right now. As many of you know, Attorney General Stein was Morrisville's North Carolina Senate representative, and he represented us really well for a number of years, and several of us are very close to him, as I am. So want to make sure we are sending our best wishes to him. He is recovering. There's no need to worry. He's recovering and doing well. So just want him to know that we're thinking of him, and though he did a great job for the town of Morrisville when he was our senator, he's doing a great job for the state of North Carolina as Attorney General. So wanted to mention that. I do want to also remind everybody about Rosati's. Tomorrow's the last day. It's a really easy way to help support the Morrisville Veterans Memorial Fund and have some great food at the same time. And then I am going to end on a sad note, since Councilmember Garamella has started on a sad note. I was listening to the news tonight before I came here, and I just hope and pray that we never get numb to hearing these things. I am so worried because these events happen a lot. And I'm so sad that in this case we have young children involved, but you know, we've had people in our minorities communities that have been affected. We have people that don't pray like us that have been affected. I mean, you can go down the list, and I too, as I'm sure we all do, send our condolences not only to the families that are affected, but the first responders that have to constantly help in these situations. And so to that little town in Texas, which I don't think I would say the name right, that small town in Texas where everyone has been affected, just like an event like that happened here in Morrisville, we would all be affected and know those involved. So I guess we want to send our best wishes, our condolences, and our thoughts to Texas tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Town Manager Page, any comments from staff? Okay. At this time, I believe we can take a break. 15 minutes or 10?
10.
15.
20.
Okay, let's go with 15. Take a little break, get a little stretch. So let's come on back at 8:59, please. Thank you. Deputy Clerk, Town Manager Page, ready to reconvene? Yes, sir. Okay. Welcome back. We're at item 14, work session. We have one work session tonight to discuss the FY 2023 proposed annual operating budget and capital investment program. Martha Page, Town Manager, and Jeannie Hooks, Director of Management Services, will facilitate.
All right, let's get going. I am going to try to be brief and go over the items that I planted seeds about earlier. So the first thing up is I'm going to just walk you through the 5 action items that are a part of your budget. I just want to make sure you know what each one of these instruments are about and just highlight some minor changes that it may have occurred in your ordinance as the years has passed. So in your ordinance, your actual budget ordinance, this is your operating budget for your general fund and the sub-funds of the general fund and your stormwater fund. So when council provides direction to staff of what kind of alternative funding or fee solution you're looking for the stormwater program, this will be the instrument that I'll need to update in addition to the CIP instrument as well for the stormwater. So I just wanted to put that out on the table. So in this instrument, it outlines your operating budgets, as I mentioned. The other key critical pieces, just to notate, is that it calls the order to levy your tax rate. So this is where the increase will appear to 39 cents from 36 to 39. It also calls the order to set or establish the municipal service district tax rate again. Again, this is your authority you have to do each year in establishing the tax rate for their operating budgets. It establishes several things by reference, and those are included in your budget report. So by reference, it establishes a user fee schedule. There have been some minor updates to the fees in several categories, and those have been provided to you. The other thing is it establishes your position authority, your position control authority, the maximum number of full-time equivalents and part-time equivalents. It establishes your pay and merit plans and class pay and grade classifications. Several other things in which that it outlines. The one that I need to point to is it also establishes your legal service fees. There have been some minor adjustments in the fee rates this year. for your legal services, so I'll just call that to your attention. The other thing to call attention to is some special authorities that the manager is given. Within the budget limits that you approve and established by the ordinance, you give the manager some flexibility in order to work within those budgetary limits that you establish by the adoption of this document. Some of those are use of lap salary, again, all working within limits of the budget ordinance, but it gives our ability to move quickly, to be nimble, and to take advantage of opportunities or to address unforeseen challenges in these items. Contracts and Grants Authority, we've revisited this one and we have compared it and contrasted it to financial policy reviews that we've been undergoing this year. And then other special appropriations. Very similar, not much changes to this, maybe just rewording to make the clarity and the language clearer. I will note one item that we are shifting to for the benefit of reporting to council is that we have changed the reporting of lap salary to a quarterly basis report, as before it was mid-year, and then from that point in increments of 50K. Increments from that point forward. We feel like this better aligns to the financial report that is given to you on a quarterly basis and marries well with that type of accountability and reconciliation to bring that to you on a quarterly basis. So that would be maybe the one material change here. And then from there, one other big one that I always like to point out in this operating ordinance is that at fiscal year, and not everything fits in one fiscal year, any outstanding purchase orders that still have progress to be made and executed but have been encumbered, you give the manager and the finance director authority to reappropriate any of those outstanding encumbered budgeted dollars over to the next fiscal year. This is common, but it's something I always like to call attention to. We affectionately call that PO rollovers at year end, and we will, at fund balance review, we always try to identify and dissect what were those things that were actually rolled over in the fiscal year, because it does impact calculation of fund balance. So from there, the next instrument that's very important is you giving the authority to both Durham and Wake counties to levy and collect your taxes and your stormwater fee. Very important. We have to do this measure every year. The next important one, this would be new. I have been working, and Michael has actually been supporting this as well, some assessment of our streets payment and lieu funds. They're currently been commingled in the general fund. We'd like to make this restricted source in a separate fund in really what's more appropriately in an evaluation of our peers is more common that it be called out into a reserve fund. We think it fits best with the existing transportation capital reserve fund. It's a restricted source. This is the first step towards creating policy around how we effectively leverage this accumulated source, which is streets payment and lieu, but also protect and preserve it and it not be commingled with your general fund and falsely depended on as a revenue source. It should not be. It's meant to be for capital expenses that it was paid in for. So moving ahead, we will make this part of the conversation in structure, creating structure as of July 1, but more so in how do we establish that policy and tie it with your CIP policy update that's coming in the fall. So more conversation on that, but this would be the first step. The next item is we have learned through the compliance and through best practices and what the organizations are recommending that we should do for ARPA or managing ARPA is that it actually be called a grant project ordinance. So we're correcting that. Before it was just a capital project ordinance. Very similar, it's a multi-year fund. So we have an ordinance here for two purposes: to formally call it a grants project ordinance, and then also to establish the categories in the appropriation that we're calling out. And we've talked about all of those items as a part of your budget discussions. And the next and last one relates to your capital investment budget ordinance. This is important in that it takes most of the items that are called out in the first year of your capital budget that is ready and prepared, meaning that we know what the sources should be and we know what the estimated costs are. We have the information. We are going to move those forward and actually establish funds for those. or to amend the ones that already exist. For the two that are remaining that are in that same year, that first year, that would be Airport Boulevard and Crabtree Creek Nature Park. We just simply feel it's better to wait until we have more clear information on those, and we'll bring those forward within the year. So this will establish new funds and or amend existing funds based on your CIP. So those are your action items at a very high level. Certainly I'm willing to take any comments or questions if you have them between now and our next meeting. Again, it's very important that staff get direction on the stormwater piece. We feel that's like the last final thing we need to put a bow on, and it will affect how we update and amend these important instruments. So from there, I'm going to actually go dive right into stormwater.
Actually, before we do that, can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
On page 42, the legal services, you mentioned that some of them changed. Just for transparency, if you could tell us what the rates used to be, what they are now,
sure.
Just so that's out in the public. So.
All right. Need to make these things shorter.
There it was, yeah.
There it is. All right, so I prepared for that question. So your legal retainer was $800. It's now $1,000 to cover attendance and meetings and so forth. Your per hour rate for specific cases went from $220 to $225. Your other legal matter assignments, it went from $190 to $200. And then we had other associate hours, went from $95 to $100.
Okay.
There you go.
Just good to know. And is it accurate to say that 1 penny on the tax rate is $655,000 and change?
It's about 650-ish, yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything before we move on to stormwater? Steve, is that you?
Oh, sorry.
Please proceed. Thank you.
Yes. Remember, I do calculations for a penny on the tax rate. I'm actually associating with the collection rate, which is a little less than 100%. So that's probably why you're going from 655.
That makes sense. Thank you.
All right, so let me quickly just cover some details here. As staff, we worked together on these scenarios, and we stuck with the core goals that were really driven by the master study, stormwater study. So the goals were really to enhance operations, to better align to meeting those mandates, and to more primarily establish a fee that actually supports a capital investment program so that we can invest in that infrastructure. There were 10 areas of concern that were identified by the study, and the fee is necessary in order to support and to address those over a period of time. At the last meeting, there was a consensus, it seemed, around council wanting a requested split year approach, so that's the basis in which we worked, and still trying to meet the overall goals, at least to get something started. So let me just touch base on some background here. In your FAQs, I've provided you some peer information, some background information. Michael worked on actually some median comparisons of what those ERUs are for commercial. That's also in your FAQ. One interesting point to note when you look at the comparisons to our peer, if you look and focus in on what is the equivalent of one ERU for commercial, you'll notice that Morrisville probably has the better deal in that it's 2,800 square feet, whereas others are between 2,200 and 2,600. So that means there's more ERU units that they're charging that $60 rate for as compared to Morrisville. We've given you a little more bang for your buck in the square footage. So I just wanted to call that out, just a minor detail, but something that I think is important to notice. Again, core drivers, we mentioned that. And our original proposal, as you know, was the $50 conversation that we've had in the past moving forward. So let's talk about what are the alternatives. And again, the $50 component was lining up with the goals, was trying to not draw down fund balance, was to create a sustainable plan and pay for operational enhancements as well as allowing us to build up reserves and do a pay-go for the majority of the fund, the projected 10-year plan. Mind you, it is even at $50 starting today or July 1, it's not a 100% fully funded plan. None of those, all three of them are not fully funded. So I just wanted to make sure that point's clear. So in a 2-year phased-in plan, and I call this really affectionately in the FAQs, it's really the split model that you all talked about and used as your example, where we took $50 and split it in half. So in year 1, we would do the $1,250. Mind you, I rounded it. I like round numbers, so I rounded it to $13 each year. So the first year would be 13, and the next year in 24 would be another round of 13. I think the key pieces here is, while it does maintain those core goals, it does get us started with a CIP, it does draw down fund balance faster. It does create really a missed opportunity in building reserves, and it doesn't build it as effectively as the one-time increase. And it's the heaviest reliance on fund balance from the get-go. So the original plan was I was using the fee increase to get us started and allowing fund balance to build, and we were drawing on fund balance and still building reserves at the same time. That was allowing us to go and create a sustainable plan as far out as we could go.
And Jeannie, can you clarify that that's stormwater fund balance?
Stormwater fund balance, yes, not general fund. And remember, the stormwater is a completely separate entity to your general fund, and it should be self-sustained and has been from the fee based on the magnitude that you have it currently set and operations. You're trying to expand it to better align with the mandates, so you're expanding the fee. But again, you're trying to sustain the program with the user fees that are meant to support it. It is an enterprise fund, not a general operating fund. Okay, yes. Okay, so the split model, again, that was based on comments that we heard from you. It will get the job done. It will not sustain it as long, and it will draw down your fund balance below the identified target that we're looking at of keeping at least 25% of that stormwater fund balance in place to just like the general fund balance, be able to mitigate unforeseen circumstances. When there are big weather events, you need to have some buffer there to be able to act quickly. So in the second or the third option here, the reserve restoration, here's what I call more affectionately the gap recovery. So in that first year, by not going fully 50 to the full 25, is that you do lose some ground on the front end. So in this model, I just bumped it a little bit more, and that really makes up the difference. By year, actually 2026, you recover that lost ground in that first year by not establishing the full fee and splitting it across 2 years. But it also allows you to restore by 2026, and it does allow in the years that it counts to build reserves, because your first 5 years are probably your lesser expensive projects. It's the second 5 years that actually has the much more larger projects that we need to plan ahead for. So this one more, if I had to say, actually better meets really similar intended outcomes in the long-term picture as the $50 model did if it were implemented as in the first year. So this one more resembles the overall outcomes that we were trying to shoot for and creates a better prolonged sustainable plan. So those are, in a nutshell, the proposed options that we've put in front of you and some pros and cons that were listed for you. And Michael's done a great job just to do a little scenario recap here. In considering phases, businesses and residential rate impacts, there's those details, as I mentioned, in the FAQs. When you do a split or a phased approach, there needs to be a commitment that that second year is going to happen. What happens if it doesn't? It means that the projects would be delayed. They could potentially cost more in the future. We all know that we're dealing with these inflationary factors that we'll have to mitigate, and try to focus on attaining that long-term sustainability of the fund. So in order to do a phased approach, you really need to commit to, okay, we're going to do this year and then we're going to do that year. And that could be a messaging thing that we also do for the community, whatever the will of council is. So from there, I will pause to see if there are any questions. Actually, I want to see if, Michael, do you have any other additions? Did I miss anything that we talked about? Okay.
No, I don't have any additional comments.
Okay.
Would you like to just walk us through FAQ number 16, which has the different levels of ERUs and stuff that was requested? That might help give a little bit.
Just a point of order, Mayor. I
Yeah, of
did
course.
have a question. And,
Oh, okay, I can see you there.
I don't-
Councilmember Body first.
Okay, thank you. Because, I mean, my sign is up, but I don't think yours is.
I see it.
Yeah, so I would just like to propose fee scenario 4, RR phase-in. I think that it's a good idea to get to $55. I think that puts us more in line with other municipalities, but I do, the comments that I've received from small business owners, small developers, is that, so they want like a 10% increase, like $250. I don't think that that is reasonable. I don't think we're ever going to get to where we need to be if we do that, but I do think that if our intent is to go to $55 per whatever the measure is, then I think that we should do it in a 3-phased approach, in going to $35 in FY23, $45 in FY24, and then $55 in FY25, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you for sharing number 4. So if you could go over FAQ 16 just real quick and show us, because I know that there are concerns about the different levels of corporations, businesses, and people, just to give us a little bit of a context.
Okay, I'm actually going to let Michael talk through this. Are you ready for that? Okay.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, happy to walk through that.
Are you able to put that on the screen too, or not?
Up to you if you.
Yeah, that'd
like
probably
to.
be helpful.
Happy to bring it up.
Just give me a minute and I can.
Yeah, and I can kind of start while she's
Go ahead.
bringing it up. The first part of that, question number 16, was just a reminder, I think, for all of you that, the stormwater fee is a $25 annual fee that is charged on a per equivalent residential unit basis. And for residential, single-family residential homes, they're all one equivalent residential unit. Townhomes are 1/2. And this is, this fee is charged annually and it's part of the property tax bill. So just a refresher on that. And then what we've done in the table here is shown the median ERU based on the property type or the property usage from the billing data that we have. So of course, all townhomes are going to be a 1/2 ERU, all single families 1. And then we pulled various property types to give you an idea or a sense of what the median ERU is there, again, using median to kind of adjust for some of the outliers that you may see. And the current fee with the proposed fee and what the actual dollar increase impact would be. So that would be the annual dollar increase. Now, again, this is the proposed fee in the initial recommended budget. So this is assuming the full increase. So for example, just starting with the single family residential, because it's the 1 ERU, you're looking at 25 to 50. So that was the initial kind of scenario 1 proposed budget. So if you drop that, obviously the impact would be lower in year 1 if you did a phase-in.
Okay. So what would be an example of a community shopping center, the largest, biggest one at the bottom?
So I believe that would be like a Park West type facility. So, okay. But that's median. It's not accounting for like the largest. It's not.
That includes the target.
Picking out that single example, that's right. A median for that type of facility. We could bring you back some information on the specific properties that fall into that. I'm not remembering. I know that the discount store, for example, big box retail, I think is the Walmart and the Target. So the community shopping center, I don't think falls into that.
Okay.
Or would not include those two.
So that's very helpful to me. And when we were talking about the small business, the SBA, could that possibly help those that are struggling and on the margins? Because I believe that there's probably a number of businesses that this wouldn't really affect negatively in a strong way. So I'm concerned that we're trying to meet the needs of the least able to meet the needs, but missing out on the building of the capacity and the revenue that we need. And if we can address them and keep them viable through this other support mechanism, we can actually get to the reserves and get these 10 items done in a meaningful way. So is that possible that those that have been suffered through COVID, they'd be able to ask for that SBA money depending on how it's set up, so that could help them over this change of fee?
So I just want to make sure I'm following your question. So you're asking if the SBA grant money could be directly used to offset the fee increase?
Essentially, if they're struggling and they say it was for COVID, because all the money, it's all the same color when it's actually in their coffers. So
yeah, I'm not sure about the direct link there. I think potentially providing them grants if they've been negatively impacted for other purposes could have the same effect. I'm not sure that, I'm not saying we couldn't. I guess that might have to bring back some information or think about making the direct link for the
yeah, I don't
fee
think it would be
offset.
direct because everything's just going to them as if they request it and if they qualify. So it wouldn't be a direct one-for-one, obviously. It's just, the idea is those struggling from COVID, and I think that's what we're most concerned about, those businesses that wouldn't be viable because of this fee, because of their built-up problems because of COVID, they're still struggling. I don't want them to fail, but I also don't want to reduce a fee because just a couple of stores can't make it with the fee, but we can take care of them otherwise. We need the capacity.
Well, I think you also have to look at the fact this is not, the grant is just a one-time thing. It's a one-time source. Even if it were a possible solution, it would only meet a one-time need. And you're talking about a fee that would be in place for as long as council is going to establish and set it. So I'm not sure how sustainable that would be to rely on a one-time source. And how could you better apply the $300K for something else that still aligns more directly to COVID impacts? Establishing a fee, there's a bit of a disconnect there, I think.
No, I agree completely. I mean, if we're phasing it by 1 year, that's just 1 year of grace anyway. So this is
right.
A year of grace. We're hoping that everyone's going to be viable fairly soon after COVID.
Okay, I think some
So I just
people
want to share those
weigh
thoughts.
in on
Yeah,
Yeah, we got several
when I'm done,
people want to
they
talk.
will, so that's fine. I think I saw Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson first.
Thank you. So I'll first respond to what the mayor is suggesting. I do appreciate the mayor trying to help small businesses and look for ways to lessen the impact, but I think the stormwater fee is a recurring cost, and it's really not intended for one-time support like a grant would be an investment in helping a business.
Vicky.
Oh, really?
I think he just can't hear.
Okay, so stormwater fees are recurring. The grant opportunity by the federal government is for one-time opportunities to reinvest in your business or to, help support some of those losses that have occurred. So the intent is to help soften the blow of an increase. Because of COVID, it's harder to get up to where we were prior to COVID. I really do like Councilmember Robati's, additional suggestion. I'd like to see the numbers. If we did a 10-10-10 kind of increase, that would still be more than the $25, but over time, it would not be as impactful in year one, and it would allow those that are struggling to advance. But I really do want to talk to the just general purpose of the stormwater fee. These are property types. People that own small businesses probably do not own the property. They are leasing the property. Now, especially salons, there's a lot of people are private proprietors and they lease the space. And this is with a lot of services that are done. So we're looking at a different population than possibly would be for the grant in some cases. There might be a small subset that do own their own property, but the majority would be leased, and that means that they would get the fee increase through an increased lease cost. Something to think about as we're looking at the grant opportunity and what it can provide assistance with. Would it provide leasing assistance? I don't know if that's even allowed in the federal grant that's being received. You know, what are the parameters? What can be helping those small businesses? But bottom line is, I think this fee is not going to directly help the small business target for the federal money, but maybe softening the blow and spreading it out over 3 increments versus 2 might be a good way forward. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, followed by Councilmember Garamilla.
Councilmember Rabati and Councilmember Garamella.
Well, she went first,
already went first,
so
I'm
we'll
waiting
circle
to go
back to
second.
her if that's okay.
Oh, okay. All right, well, Councilmember Garamella was before me.
That's fine. Councilmember Garamilla, followed by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, please.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of giving any SBA money into this kind of fee, because I almost feel like you're showing green dollars and then slapping them with the fees and saying, okay, do it. Or in our other way, I would say is we are giving you a salary rise in a hike, and then we're increasing your insurance too. So it kind of washes out either way. For me, that's not a cost-effective way to do it. But one thing I also was thinking, who collects these fees? Is Wake County collects for us, or we collect?
So majority is collected through Wake County. That's what that one instrument was about. It's not just collection of taxes. They're also collecting your stormwater fee for us and distributing it to us. But there are some exempt properties that we bill for in-house. Where we have evaluated, can we pull the full system back in-house, still economies of scale with Wake County, work and to our advantage, but we continuously look and reassess that.
So the reason I was asking is we set a price, and if the small businesses are not ready to pay, or basically they show they are having grievances to pay that fees, can we defer that over the next 3 years that they could pay? Because is that something Wake County could even entertain? Because they'll come through an application, they'll come up with a grievance. We are small businesses, we are so and so, we are having hardships, and we basically say, okay, point well taken. We will not reduce the fee, but at least defer it over 3 years that you could pay it with no interest or something. So at least you are getting at some point of time, but you're giving them opportunity to recover through this COVID, as the gentleman from the Chamber of Commerce said. So I'm just asking because I don't know how the billings, does it jeopardize the billing? Because Park West, I'm looking at this example, it has apartments too. And then combination of those, I just rented my townhome in Durham. The people who rented said, like Briar Creek, they increased their apartment rent from $1,400 to $1,800. And that's the reason they couldn't afford, and they came in. So we are trying to adjust whatever we can, but all these people are not increasing or decreasing their rents because the small businesses are still getting impacted. We have seen a lot of businesses go out because the strip malls, they're not reducing the rent at all. So we can be considerate in doing these things, but I want to ensure that it's really, anything we do is really going to, as like Vicky is saying, they rent it out. And when they rent it, it's not like when we are stopping this, they're not stopping their increase of rent. They're still increasing their rent. They're still doing everything. So how can we, basically, if person has really issues, then we can give them a waiver, not like cut it out, but give them more time. I just don't know. I'm just looking for possibilities so that at that time we really will come to know who are really hurting compared to a blanket here.
Okay, so how I'll respond is I do not have the answers to those questions. It's something I would have to explore with the tax administrator to see what flexibility there is in the billing, how he folds that into what he already does as a process of relief. He already deals with that on the property tax side, so I would have to just ask him what that process would be. But just don't have the answer to that immediate question.
That's fine. I was just thinking while everyone was talking about.
As far as waivers go, that would be another thing to evaluate. What is the town's authority under establishing a user fee in a proprietary fund? That would be something else that I don't have an immediate response for.
Because this is really, it is a tax, but it's a control of jurisdiction of the town. So at least we have that flexibility of doing it. I'm just thinking loud.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, followed by Councilmember Fender, please.
Well, I think a lot has already been said about how I feel about this idea. I think the Small Business Administration money it's a program to help our small businesses who have been affected to date and through the last couple of years because of this pandemic, not to alleviate a burden that we're going to put on small businesses starting July 1. So I think that optic is just not only bad, is terrible. So I think others have said it is better than I can. So I wouldn't support that at all.
Councilmember Fender, please.
Yeah, I'm just looking through, like comparing what some of these larger businesses, like what their increase will be compared to the size of business that they are. The increase is really not that much because, like, if you think about the apartment complex, it's increasing in fee $3,300 for the entire year, and if they were to pass that expense on to people in renting the apartments, say they have 300 apartments, that's an increase of $11 per apartment per year. So I think we're getting hung up on just thinking about small businesses, like to Mayor's point, and not and missing an opportunity to build up our reserves. Like this increase, if this increase for the shopping center, $4,700 for the entire year, and the whole scheme of things for them is not significant. I'm not saying that. I do like the idea of the phased approach over 2 years. I would hesitate to take that out to 3 years. I do think we're getting distracted with this idea of the small businesses. I suspect, I mean, I don't want to speak for the mayor, but I suspect what he may, or the way I could look at it is that a small business that would have a challenge with this increase of $200 for a year may be the same type of business that would qualify for a grant. That could be one way of looking at that, not necessarily directing that grant money specifically to the stormwater fee increase. But I do agree with his point that I think we're getting wrapped up about, we're getting stagnated by being overly cautious for the the small business. I mean, to Council Member Scroggins Johnson's point, is that these small businesses are typically gonna lease. They don't typically own the building. So I think we're getting hung up there and we're gonna stagnate and miss the opportunity to build our reserves. That said, I still think, doubling the price, doubling the fee over the year, 1 year, is significant, and that I do favor the phased approach over either do the $13 or the $15, and that would make it not so drastic to individual businesses.
Okay. Everyone who's indicated a desire to speak, I think, has. So we can go ahead and do a second round. And if it's okay with everybody, there might be responses directly back and forth a little bit, just to make it more efficient. Councilmember Rabati.
So just to clarify, we're all going to respond directly back and forth to each other's
Not necessarily,
comments,
just
or?
if someone wants something to add, we don't necessarily have to keep on trying to do all 7 in a row, just to make it more like a work session, if that's okay with everybody.
So I don't think it's possible to be too cautious in approaching tax increases and rate increases to small businesses right now. I mean, there's empty storefronts in every mall in our town. And I mean, I'm glad that we're going to have funds that we can offer to these people, but it's not, I just don't think that it's just the stormwater thing. It's the stormwater thing and the 3-cent tax hike, which, I mean, everyone voted for, and that's absolutely fair. We put that out for a vote and the voters approved it. But it is still going to affect business owners financially. And, that's why I'm suggesting that we phase the stormwater rate hike out slowly, just because we're also increasing taxes this year by what I consider to be a pretty significant margin. And the voters knew that was coming, and that's so, 100% fine with that. But I'm just saying that I'm not sure that they expected a 3% tax hike on top of a 50 or 100% stormwater increase. I think that we have to look at I think we have to look at the picture in totality of how the budget will affect small businesses. Like, if everybody else is on board with doing it in 2 years, I can get happy with that. But I'm just saying that I think that we should consider really phasing it out.
So let me try to put in perspective the 10-10-10 approach for you. Maybe this will help. So Michael and I spoke today, and just as we say a penny on the tax rate is this, let's just say $1 on the ERU rate is $23,000. So if you raise it $10, you get $230,000. Of that $230,000, if we stay committed to our goals, you're paying for a person. That's $110,000 right there off the 230. Then you have maybe 120 left that you can dedicate to their first year of starting your capital projects. That means, i.e., that you're drawing from your fund balance immediately. So that's putting some perspective around that first year and the impact. And from there, if you increase it another $10 the next year, you get another 230 plus some modified growth factor there. So that's $460,000 then. So you can spread it out, but what that's going to cause us to have to do for stormwater program manager is we're going to potentially have to shift out some of those projects in that first 5 years to make it affordable and not draw too much on the the fund balance of the stormwater, but that's just the impacts. It's just going to push some of those projects a little further, put more weight or burden on the fund balance that currently exists, and it's going to spread out that time in which we can build the reserves. Doable, but I wanted to put dollars and cents on it just to give you some perspective of what the 10-10-10 might mean, especially just the first year. $10 gets you a person. It gets you some money towards a capital investment program. I could give you numbers on the 13 versus the 15 as well.
I guess I would just say that inflation is only getting worse in the short term. The sooner we're able to actually get these programs started and the 10 items that we want to get done, and even so at any of these, nothing gets to the $10 million that's still out in the future years from that earlier chart. So next year is going to be tough as well. We're postponing a lot of investments this year, not just stormwater, but everything else. So I think the sooner that we commit to making these kind of choices, it'll make it easier next year. It sounds like we're coalescing around either a 2 or 3 year phase. So I think one of the most important things is to commit to those future adjustments as well, because if we don't do that, the discussions next year, if we could just say that that's done and committed, then that makes next year a little bit easier too, because next year we're going to have even less discretionary income to meet even more increasing needs. So I'm hoping that this is a really good budget this year, and if we have to phase this, let's go ahead and do it, but let's commit to each other that we're going to support it in the out years. I think that's an important point to make. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Councilmember Rao has.
Sorry, I didn't see yours because of the thing. So yes, Councilmember Rao, followed by Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern is if as long as we were able to commit that we'll increase it, in the next fiscal year, or if we go to a three-year phase, because once we lower it, they're going to come back. People are going to not want it to increase. That's the thing. Once you give something for free, and then you come back and say, I want to increase the price. So, I mean, really, this really affects the larger kind of places like Park West and some of the larger like office spaces that have lots of impervious surface. Those are the ones that I'm more concerned about. I mean, even like Morrisville Square and some of these small ones, they're going to pay $2,500 or $3,000 a year, I think. I don't even see that on here, but that's what I've talked to the owner there. So, I mean, I guess we have to be fair and consistent that we don't select certain businesses to say we're going to lower it for you and not for others. But that's just my biggest concern is that, we'll have to commit to, even if we do 25 to whatever it was, 40 and then 51 or 55, we have to commit to that later number. Otherwise there's going to be a perception out there, well, we went for a lower fee. And I'm supportive of Park West. I know that they've lost a lot of businesses. I know that, but they charge a lot of rent for their business, for their restaurants. They've never gone down in their rent, from what I understand, even during a pandemic, right? So why would we not want to increase fees when we have to meet our own needs? To be fair, the pushback we're going to get from, the people that own that facility, right? And it's just so I just think I'm fine with doing it, whether it's the direction we're going to give staff, come back with a 2-year phase or 3-year phase, or the option 4 that Councilmember Rabadi gave. But we've got to make sure we're committed to that higher number, because if we don't commit to a higher number, next year we're going to get the same businesses coming in saying, well, no, let's not go up to 50, let's do 42. And then we're going to be further behind than we are now.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
So I came in here with one thought process, and now Councilmember Rabadi has given me something new to think about. And I honestly, I like the idea of a 10-10-10 increase over the 3 years. But I don't like about any of these scenarios is that we're going to have to sit here tonight and make a commitment for the future. That makes me really uncomfortable. I understand the rationale. I understand the reasoning. That's not lost on me. But, I'd feel more comfortable if we talked about coming back and revisiting again, knowing we've all had this conversation and we'll have it again. But we have, and not that we're going to double the development in this town by next year, but there's more businesses out there being built today that are going to come online, that are going to feed into this stormwater utility, or help fund this stormwater utility. So it makes me uncomfortable to just say outright, we're going to do this year, and then we're going to absolutely do the same next year or the year after that. So that part makes me uncomfortable. But I was okay with going with a 2-year phase-in, just not being that committal, and softening it a little bit by saying we will revisit. I mean, who knows where we're going to be next year, by the way. I hope we'll be back to normal, whatever that is. But, there could be something else comes out along the way in the next 12 months that would change all our minds. So that part gives me pause.
So I understand your statement around commitment. So commitment is just meant just to understand that if the second phase doesn't come, then it causes us to shift out the model. That's what that commitment means. It's always in council's hand and annually, because this is an annual fee, for you to set not only the tax rate, but to set this user fee where you feel it best fits. I think a good question to ask yourselves, because what I feel is a common theme here, is you want to do what needs to be done for the town in order to meet the mandates and deliver on the goals that you established, but you also want to be sensitive and caring to your business community. So ask yourself, what model, what fee structure gets us going in that direction? Is it the 13 2-year? Is it the 15 2-year? To get it started, revisit would be an opportunity that you always have before you. Or is it the 10-10-10 approach? If it's a 10-10-10 approach, I would go back, work with Michael, and we would bring some information forward to you at the next meeting. But I generally was trying to put some context around it so you get a good feel tonight as you're talking.
Councilmember Garamella, followed by Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson, please.
Can we get a straw poll? Because I think this is going in circles. Just let's nail down what we want and then just get it out. Because I think everyone has empathy, and so what do we want to do? And just let's go on.
Are we okay with straw polling? That's fine. Okay, could you bring up the one that has the different options? I think that's where we are, and we'll just sort of, okay.
Here are your different options. So this is your 50, which we've moved from that. This would be your 13 model, and this would be your 15, and then you have another suggestion of your 10-10-10.
Okay. Would council be, this is like a straw poll before the straw poll, would it be okay just we'll vote on options 3 and 4? That sort of seemed like where we were coalescing. Or do you want to do 2, 3, and 4? Yeah, 4 is 10-10-10.
What? No, I
You want to do all 4 of them, or just 2, 3, and 4?
I think 1 is out. I think we've established that.
Well, I would support 1, but I don't think there's enough, so I'll use my vote somewhere else.
Right. I'm just talking about consensus.
Yes, consensus. I'm hearing 1 is out. So we are at 2 and 3 and potentially 4, which is 10-10-10. So do you want to do each one at a time, or?
Yes.
So let's look at number 2, Mayor, if that would be okay. That would be the first increase to $38, which would be the 13.
Okay.
So we have 2. I recognize 2. For the 3, which would be to $40, that's your 15 increment.
Okay, because that goes us out to FY30, which I think is positive.
Carries you a little farther for sustainability.
Okay, so there's 2 there.
So we have 3. So we have model 4, which is a 10-10-10, and I imagine while it has some sustainability, it's not going to go out as far as the other 2 and 3. So we have 2. So we have a very, very split board here, and staff would need direction in order to be able to prepare.
I'm equally okay with 2 or 3.
2 or 3?
Yes, I thank you. I thought I was missing it.
So let's unanimously decide between 2 and 3, because 10, 10, 10 is only 2 votes.
I think that we have exceeded our time for this work session, that we need time to digest this and maybe have Jeannie do some more math on the 10, 10, 10, and then we have a work session scheduled for Thursday.
So I think we're close.
Oh man,
I don't
we're too
think-
close
I
here.
don't think I-
Let's.
I'm tired, and I'm not.
Alternate
suggestion.
I should have just voted
The
for
votes
3.
broke down 2 and 3 and 2, right?
Yes.
So which one got 3?
I believe it was
3.
3.
We got 3.
All right, I can get okay with 3 if that brings us to consensus. Let's just do it.
Okay.
And I can do okay with 3.
So 3 is your 15. Again, I'll remind you, you set this fee each year and assess it. So commitment is, yes, commitment, but looking at it again each year. If that helps you move forward tonight so staff has something to work with and prepare your final information, then that is helpful.
Okay. So,
Do we want to affirm that it is 15? Just at least 4 people.
okay, so for option 3,
Hey, you guys.
Steve,
You're
or
gonna
you
raise your
change your mind? Okay.
No.
Liz, you're going to raise your hand?
3.
I'm not.
My hand up or down doesn't matter. It is what it
I'm
is.
not.
So we'll bring the information back on the 26th at our scheduled work session with 15.
Okay,
Okay?
15 and 15.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So that was the big one. That was a good conversation.
Yeah, I think straw poll helps sometimes to just.
It does. It's just a matter of deciding when is when. So thank you all for that. Was there anything else from staff side that you need some help with?
No, sir, that was the last item that I had. Again, working towards your public hearing, continuing to the 26th, asking that it be closed on the 26th. Your portal's closed. Staff will rework the documents around the 15th and you can do your final assessment and direction to council on the to staff on the 26th. And I believe the only thing I would need to ask from council at this point is a consensus to cancel the work sessions for, I believe it is June 7th and 9th, Martha? So if I could get a consensus, just raise your hand real quick. Are we willing to cancel those meetings? That would work, since it was actually approved with a motion.
What else will we be talking about on Thursday? This Thursday.
Any other direction that you have on the budget?
We don't have any.
You don't have anything, but you have advertised and committed to continuing the hearing to the 26th. We'll need to open it and then close it.
It could be a very short meeting.
Yeah.
But if people are here to speak, then we
Then you would hear
allow
them,
them.
yes.
then we would hear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
I would think, I would be comfortable giving that consensus to get rid of the other work sessions after the public hearing on Thursday and us pretty much being done with the budget. Because we're not quite done. So I don't think we're going to need those dates in June, but we may.
Well, I will reaffirm with you on Thursday night to make sure the 7th and 9th would be canceled, and then we can notice appropriately.
Yeah, I'm not sure for the Thursday meeting. I got a work commitment that I may be able to join.
Okay. Couldn't hear you.
Okay. I have a work commitment on Thursday. So I may not be, I'll see if I can join or not. The meeting goes late.
Okay. So the 6 o'clock start of the meeting on Thursday, you might not be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's completely fine.
Unless you have concerns now that you want to share,
No,
I think
It's a work
being not
session.
here will probably not be that much of an issue.
Honestly, I'm not sure there's much more for us to discuss. This was the
No, that
last.
was the last item.
This was the last item we needed to discuss about the budget, so I can't imagine that Thursday's meeting, besides the public hearing, we have nothing left to discuss.
Right, but, I mean, That makes it sound, I think we should maybe do like the public hearing earlier in the budget process, if I'm honest. Because
Legally
it's
cannot.
true what Liz says. I mean, we are functionally done with this budget. Like so, and I think that's going to be tough to walk back from based on any public input that we get. And I'm just wondering if like maybe we should get the public comment on the draft budget. Like way back when you first showed us the budget, maybe we should get public comment then, because then it can inform our decision. But right now, I don't feel like that's really what's going to happen,
We have the budget portal comment.
Yes, we've opened the portal twice now. So in the beginning for the front-loaded process, and we opened it the day that we presented it to council. There are legal requirements around the timing of when you can call a public hearing after a budget's been presented to council. So there's a time gap that has to occur before the hearing can happen. So the only thing you could do is, and this is getting very much in the weeds, I'll say, on process, and it's something we can explore in the next budget year, but just to simply address that question, we might have to move, you would have to move back or up when we would present the budget to council to move up the public hearing. And I think we've tried that strategy before.
So this is, just to be clear, this is a public hearing that's a legal requirement, regardless of when we get input, and we did have the budget portal, we're required to do a public hearing on the
I
budget.
understand that. I'm just saying, I guess I'm just questioning the point of a public hearing that is literally going to have no effect on the budget.
Hey, we have 2 closed sessions, so let's wrap it up.
We have
so that-
3 closed sessions.
3 closed
actually.
sessions.
Okay.
I
Is
don't need
everyone?
mine anymore, if that makes any difference.
Oh,
We can postpone it.
okay.
We can see how quickly it goes.
Dude.
Yeah.
So I see lots of blue things up. Is everyone okay to entertain a motion to adjourn? See blue things up? Okay.
No, we're going into
No,
closed
no, no,
session.
no,
No, I mean to go into closed session is what I meant.
Was there a consensus on June 7th and 9th?
No, we're going to do that after
Revisit.
Thursday's public hearing.
I'm going to reaffirm on Thursday.
Okay. Anything from staff before we go to closed session?
And there's 3.
Yes.
Thank you.
Steve, so Steve needs.
So
Standing up on that back.
Jeannie, Michael, and Martha and the team, thank you very much. Budget is solid, and we just have a couple more boxes to check.
Yes, we will get
So,
there.
well done.
Thank you.
Okay. We are going to go into closed session now. We do not plan to conduct any public business afterwards, so at this time I'd like to thank everyone for watching this meeting of the Morrisville Town Council. We hope you plan to join us again. Please feel free to email your town council members at towncouncil@townofmorrisville.org or visit www.townofmorrisville.org/council for additional contact information. And just to reiterate, in 2 days, we have a continued public hearing on the budget, so you can give us input through that or by emailing the town council. At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into 3 closed sessions. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rao, who was getting the data for making that motion.
Pursuant to North Carolina Statute 143.31.11A, 3, A4, and A6, I move that we go into closed session to discuss an economic development matter, a personnel matter, and a matter of attorney-client privilege.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of going to closed session on those 3 closed session items, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. It is 10:01. We are now in closed session. We're going to go ahead and turn off the